Isn't this a sports show?
Clinton has said, accurately, I might add, on the Facebook page. Almost Entirely Sports, a show where Josh reads all of his tweets, and I have no counter-argument to that. That is true and fair.
Almost entirely.
Excuse me. I'm talent. I'm talent, sir. Unhand me.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
I am Joshua Brisco, Rudy with the reverse slam, Beard with a judgmental gaze. What's up, Beard? How you doing? I'm here.
Take the show with you by listening on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app at 810WHB.com or by searching for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts.
Is this the most important thing I could be talking about? Well, I mean, probably not. Debatable.
This is Almost Entirely Sports on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Pretty normal show for you here on this Friday to round things out. Your whole favorite cast of characters. I'm Joshua Brisco with Rudy Salazar, Beard's McFly. We'll have Mick Shaffer to close out our week, and somewhere in between, we'll talk to Travis Kelce and Bret Saberhagen and Steve Young.
It's a normal Friday.
A normal, average Friday show to take you into your weekend. Thanks for being here for Almost Entirely Sports. We got a little bit of Chiefs-adjacent news. The Suns are up 2-0 in the NBA Finals, something that I need to mention while the music is still playing in the first breath of the show, because I'm going to say something right now. I'm going to say something with not a guarantee, not an overwhelming, amount of confidence, whatever. But I will say here on the radio right now that if I had to bet,
A taser bet?
I believe that the Phoenix Suns will win the NBA Finals.
Taser bet?
No, I have one outstanding.
Sure.
Honestly, if I
fair.
had already paid that one, I would legitimately consider it. But in the world that the Suns blow the NBA Finals after going up on a 2-0 lead, admittedly, both those ones coming at home, if I ended up having to be tased twice and I had to deal with the emotional loss of finally saying out loud for the first time that I think they're going to actually win the damn thing, I would need to immediately take a week of vacation. Just to kind of get right again.
Understandable.
I would need to go walk into the ocean and just stare at the sun until I was. And now, you know what? No, I wouldn't be able to look at the sun. I'd never be able to look at the sun ever again because of how harmed the Suns would have left me. But I don't think they're going to. I actually genuinely think the Phoenix Suns are going to win the NBA Finals. That's a bonkers place to be.
I think you're right, though.
Now, Giannis keeps getting healthy. Maybe Drew Holiday and Chris Middleton can play basketball in Milwaukee instead of the games they've put up so far in Phoenix.
I mean,
Maybe.
Middleton's 50-50.
What do you mean?
He had a good first game and he had a bad second game.
I thought that was like a playoff of his name being middle.
Oh, yeah,
I
I
thought
thought
Beers
there
was
more
making
to
a
it.
joke.
Drew, that's fair, Beers.
Drew Holiday has not been good.
Drew Holiday's had two terrible games.
He had
Chris
17
Middleton
points last
wasn't-
night. I don't know how.
Wow, that is stunning to me. I would have taken the under on that confidently. I didn't feel like Middleton was excellent in game one, but he wasn't.
He had a good stat
He
line.
wasn't Drew Holiday.
Yes.
That's fine. With that being said, look, I'm about Suns and 4 life. We've been
Suns
over
on 4,
this.
baby. I mean, it's a lock.
I also I just don't want them to lose tomorrow, because tomorrow is the day that we're gonna kind of I'm planning on, or on not tomorrow, on Sunday, planning on going out, having a watch party. I would be pretty bummed if that ended up being a loss.
Might make me a little happy.
It'd make you happy though. That's fine.
If I'm able to be there and to watch you and Scott cry a little bit, be a little happy. Just a little. Again, I want the Suns to win. Devin Booker, it's my guy.
But you would like to soak up a few Suns tears first.
But if I can get
get
any amount of joy because of how much you hurt me, I deserve it.
I'm not the one that grabbed you by your chain and then beat you up and yelled Suns and 4 in your face. That was your man. You've got to atone for his sins.
That is not my man.
He's a Nuggets fan. No, he is
No,
yours.
I think Nuggets
Listen
Nation.
here, Rudy.
Nuggets Nation. We had lawyers who were actively going up to the Suns, but hey, I will represent you,
Rudy. And now Beards, I hate this because I'm gonna come to Beards' defense in a roundabout way here. If you are going to make Beards wear the everlasting racist history of his basketball team, you have to wear
Fan
Hold
base,
up.
not team.
Hold up.
of the city of Boston.
Hold up. I would never, ever put it on Beards' back and blame him for the inability
blaming
of
you.
Boston,
I'm not blaming you.
I would never associate Beards and his horribly racist team. Congrats on hiring your first. Hey, Beards, congrats on hiring your first black coach.
And by the way, I got a huge
We don't
congratulations.
talk about this enough.
Huge congratulations. It is
It
crazy.
took a while, but we got there.
Yeah.
We got there.
I'm saying that if you're going to make, if every time you see a Celtics logo, you're going to point to the overwhelmingly racist history of the city.
Yeah.
And you're going to make Beards wear that every time he wears a Celtics
I
hoodie.
would never make Beards
You
wear
make him wear the shame of it.
the shame.
You make him wear the shame of it.
racism
You do
surrounding
that
that city.
do that every single day.
And just also the team, obviously, because just you can't really separate the team from there. They're not just the Celtics.
Well, and they've never
They're
had
not-
a black coach
they're
until
not
now.
just
I
the-
mean, it's like that part really,
Yeah.
Beards, you have to admit.
I mean,
Beards, you have to admit.
also, hey, Josh, they're not just the Celtics. They're the Boston Celtics. You can't separate the team from the city.
Beards, you have to admit that not hiring a black coach until now is
Were you hacked?
a huge. Hold on. Right now, I just went to Wikipedia. I've just typed in Boston Celtics head coaches history, and it turned out I was hacked.
Yeah. Well, it was only Doc, so it's only one. So I mean, he's the second, right?
I have changed my password.
He was only the second. It's still
For myself.
Still impressive. There was no like Hall of Famer who played for them, who also maybe coached.
I think
It
it makes
happened.
sense. I think it is good work in general to make Beards acknowledge the fact that he roots for the same team that a bunch of racists also root for. You root for the same team as the guy who got his ass beat by Sons and Four guy.
I would never do that to Beard. Never would I never would I try to remind him of the horrible racist things I said he has done. Never. Never done it. I know we've said it once.
Today.
And I know we've said it once before, but Beards, just want to congratulate you again on hiring your first black coach.
Beards, I
Rudy, you
think
need to change your Twitter password.
What I have
Seems
done-
like you were hacked as well.
what I've done for you, Beards, now is I have given you a retort, but it's also a retort that I benefit from because every time Rudy does the Celtics thing, you can just go Sons and Four. I'm a F your boy up. And
But
that's also good
it's
for
good for
me
you.
because it's a Suns guy,
Yeah.
from that moment.
Can I give a serious point here that I feel like we haven't talked enough about?
I don't
I
know.
like
we gotta
I-
get to Steve Young.
I think this is getting a decent amount of national attention, but and part of this we just haven't really have shows. Bears have been gone. I don't know how it's been overlooked for so long, and honestly, it's probably not getting the respect it deserves because it deserves all the respect in the world. The Suns have the coolest bleeping fans.
every
It's
time,
the coolest
man.
fan base. Every time they show them, and it's been like this all throughout the playoffs. They're from the Suns and Four guy to the dude last night flying. They're the cool. The Valley
Skip
Boys are
Bayless
the,
on Molly, by the way. Is what
the
he
Valley
looks like.
Boys with an I.
Yeah.
are
No,
the
with a Z.
I-Z. B-O-I-Z.
YZ.
IYZ.
It's YZ.
I think it's.
Finish your point.
I think an I should be in there. Is my point. Are the coolest of the boys.
Also important to note is
Saturdays are for the Valley Boys.
I am in fact now.
When did Sterling get here?
I am in fact now the leading.
Sterling wishes he could be. Sterling is not a Valley Boy. He wishes he could be a Valley Boy. Sterling is not. He is way too up. Here's the thing with the Valley Boys are not like super classy. The Valley Boy is the common man, just living his best life.
I am currently the leading bidder in a signed Sons and Four Nick McKellar 3 out of 25 purple autographed 8x10 photo with inscription.
I hope you get it, man.
How much have you spent so far?
Well, so shipping is $4.44.
Uh-huh.
And currently I'm the leading bidder
I mean,
at,
technically, you haven't spent anything.
at 99 cents.
Oh, okay.
He has a whole thing where some of it's going to charity, whatever. And I'm just going to try to find the cheapest
Supporting
possible
charity, yeah.
one, and then I want to put it up in our office.
I honestly, man,
I want that to look over Rudy at all times. I might put it over Rudy's chair.
that hurts. I will congratulate you though for supporting charity. I think it's great.
Thank you. I think I'm 25% supporting charity if the video he put out was accurate.
I mean, for the last
20.
decade, the Suns have basically been charity.
That's a great point. I've been supporting charity for a while there. Absolutely.
I mean, it's 25% more than like me or Beards are supporting charity right now.
The confusing thing is that one of these signed copies that's not actually labeled is it 50. Oh, that's a buy it now actually. He's also selling signed Steve Nash jerseys and a signed basketball, several signed basketballs. Those are all out of my price range. I am not about to spend.
Yeah.
Those are what, $2?
They're like
$3?
One of the basketballs is at 78 right now. Excuse me, 68 right now. So I could bid it up $1.
That'd be nice.
But I will.
What about the Steve Nash jersey? Because honestly, like
How much is that one?
an autographed Steve Nash jersey would be pretty cool.
There are 2 days left on this on these, and one of them is at $71 right now.
Nice.
Signed Steve Nash jersey, 3 out of 4.
I think you should.
No,
I don't want to tell you how to spend
No,
your money.
Absolutely not.
It wouldn't be the worst thing you spent your money on.
We've done this before, like domain names and stuff. I'm willing to spend like $2 or $3 for a funny joke, maybe 5, maybe 10 if it's like sending an exploding bag of gummy genitalia candies to somebody.
You're not spending money. This is an investment. Here's the thing.
You can expense this.
You remember those houses you bought and Top Shot didn't really become a thing? You buy the jersey, you sell the jersey, now you paid off this house.
At least it's fungible.
Exactly.
That is, you know what? That is a good point. It is at least.
And then maybe one day we get Steve Nash to sign it. And then now you got it. Now it's signed by. Well, that might hurt the value.
Yeah, I don't really want Steve Nash to hurt the value. That's exactly what I was going to say. I think that's playing with fire a little bit.
Yeah.
Oh God. So here we got to do a couple things here today. Again, all the things I said at the beginning of the show are all true, by the way. All of these we had to record yesterday because of when these people's schedules came out, and I'll give you more context when we get there. But Steve Young's going to be up first. We'll talk to him about Patrick Mahomes. He's out there at the American Century Championship golf tournament out there in Lake Tahoe, presented by our friends over at American Century. And so we've had heard lots of interviews over the station the last couple of days, and so we've got 3 of them for you here tonight between those 3 guys, and then Mick to round out the week. But in the meantime, I also need to do 2 other things here, and we should also talk about Frank Clark. It's a relatively small blip on the radar right now, but Frank Clark has now, according to TMZ and confirmed by Herb Ethiopia of the Kansas City Star, which is where I would rather get my information verified, because
certainly where you want the verification to come from.
I would prefer that personally.
Yeah. Understandable.
But he's got it on this also. LA County District Attorney's Office today charged, this is quoting Herbie's tweets, today charged Chiefs defensive end Frank Clark on 1 felony count of possession of an assault weapon. Per the DA spokesperson, the current charge is for the March incident, as Sam McDowell previously reported, not the June incident. He will also be arraigned on July 14th. Again, so that's for the March incident, not the one that made breaking news right before the show we had a couple weeks ago. It's for the one that we found out during the show was also out there. TMZ is reporting that the maximum sentence for that is 3 years in prison. I will say what I've seen from our friend Seth Kaiser, from other lawyers on Twitter, from my own common sense to play a lawyer here on the radio. I would be absolutely ever-loving flabbergasted if Frank Clark, flabbergasted Clark, I would be flabbergasted if Frank Clark spent 3 years in prison. I would be extremely surprised if he spent any significant amount of time in prison. I would be surprised if he spent any amount of time in prison.
Yeah.
Period.
That's what I was going to say.
There could be a plea deal. There could be no charges could end up getting dropped, whatever. He's got a lot of money and he can hire a good lawyer. It sounds like that he's going to get charged with the exact same thing a second time. This is even farther out of my comfort zone, but it seems like those won't necessarily like compound to a larger charge. It's just kind of the same charge twice is my very rudimentary understanding of that. But I don't think it's TMZ throws the 3 years in prison in the headline. I ultimately think
because it sells that makes the headline.
You got to click it,
yeah,
and it's TMZ. But we were talking about this earlier, Rudy. It would be very, very surprising for him to actually spend time in prison for this.
Yeah, I forget the player, but I feel like there was a deal a while back where like a player like essentially got in trouble and like spent a night in jail, and because like they just were like there has to be like they just felt like there should be some jail time, so he spent like literally a night, and then he was out. And I mean, I'd be pretty surprised if Frank Clark even had to do that. Like, you kind of mentioned this before, where it's like I don't know if we really learn anything new from this necessarily, other than just charges are now officially charged.
Yep.
There
just
are
from the first round.
Yes, from the first round. But you see this all. I don't want to say all the time, but frequently enough to where anytime an athlete or somebody famous is being charged with anything, you always see could spend blank years in jail, right? It could spend 10 years in jail, could spend 15 years in jail. You always see that maximum what the jail time is. And even, honestly, even if you start, like, it's almost never the maximum. Even for people who aren't celebrities, very rarely do you actually hit the maximum. There's usually, whether it's a settlement of some sort, so you don't you don't hit that maximum, or just the charges aren't fully hit right to where, again, you rarely see the maximum. It's just not that often.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if Frank Clark will likely, I'm just basing this off of just other NFL players in the past without legal problems, will likely end up with community service hours, will obviously be on probation. I assume a fine of some sort is in there, but I can't, I don't know exactly, how that works, whether, bail, whatever. I don't know exactly how it works. There'll be probation. There'll be community service hours. That's my guess. My guess is that's kind of where it is.
And you are a lawyer, which is, again, important to note. All
Yes.
three of us here are lawyers.
Yeah, no, just based off, again, I'm just basing off it's very rare, like I would say 80 to 90% of NFL players that you see charged with crimes, that's generally what the end result is, with the few exception being, your Aaron Hernandez's of the world, and who's
something
the Bears?
A whole lot more serious.
Yeah, or the Bears player who was like basically trying to become the drug lord of Chicago. I forget who that was, but I believe he's still in jail because he was trying to become a drug lord of Chicago.
Yeah, that's not.
Frank Clark wasn't trying to become the drug lord of California.
Having a duffel bag in your car. Yeah, not a one-to-one comparison there. So, one thing that sort of spun off that a little bit that I find kind of interesting is I'm going to end up getting into a fight with our friend Ryan Scott Hall on Twitter because he keeps not answering my question that I want him to answer for me. I'm falling into my trap, Ryan.
It's weird.
Falling into my trap.
When people don't want to answer the question when they clearly don't answer.
Funny, isn't it, Ryan? One thing that I think is kind of interesting is that, and this is probably an odd sample size, it's mostly coming from social media, but I do find it interesting that I think these arrests have really kind of shifted some things on Frank Clark, which is kind of funny, just because I feel like I've been saying for a good while now, like that trade and contract was not good for the Chiefs. I'm seeing many more people willing to agree with that now.
Mm-hmm.
With 0 extra football games being played. Now, I think...
you didn't watch the Spring League?
No, I missed it. I think that's probably coming from a bunch of sort of interesting places. Many of them may be rooted in something not so great. So I'm not trying to say that it is either good or bad that people have sort of come to that side, but I just find it sort of interesting that people I think are maybe it's people who want to defend Chiefs players by default. Maybe they're a little bit less interested in defending Frank Clark because there's an arrest on record. I don't know where that's coming from. I hesitate to even try to guess. But I do think it is interesting that it seems like that sort of loyalty by default is waning, especially as he's about to enter this season with the team's highest cap hit by a pretty large margin. I find that interesting. I want to mention the reason that Ryan and I may end up sparring here on Twitter is that lots of people have said this. Ryan's just the one that I'm talking to now, and I value Ryan's opinion on Chiefs things. But the thought is, well, you know what? That trade and contract are not the worst thing in the world because they don't win that Super Bowl without Frank Clark. Therefore, it's justified. And we had a slightly different version of this conversation around DeAndre Ayton, where if the Suns win the finals, that drafting him over Luka is no longer something that I have to carry with me the rest of my natural basketball loving life.
It can't haunt you anymore. It can't hurt you.
But there's a differentiation that is worth making between played a part on the team, played an important role, and don't win without. Mm-hmm. For the Suns, if they draft Luka, they don't trade for Chris Paul, and they don't have DeAndre Ayton. I don't think that I don't know. I guess I can't say that I know. I don't know what Devin Booker and Luka Doncic's sons look like. You're handsome and great at basketball, I'm sure. You mother bleepers, sit down. I saw both of you rev your engines. Get out of here. But incredibly talented. But I don't know what that looks like. What I do know is that I really don't think that the Suns look so fundamentally different if they don't draft DeAndre Ayton there that they're probably not here right now. I would love to watch Luka and Booker play together. Maybe Luka, demands a trade, lands in Phoenix, and we get to see that in the future. I'm here for that in a couple of years. Maybe tomorrow. Do it now. But I think doing that for Frank Clark is silly. I do. People talk about his playoff run, and that's cool. People talk about him having 5 sacks in the run to the playoffs. Do you know 3 of those came against Houston? I think this is not a perfect
super
metric.
well-run team, great offensive line, no problems.
Not a super easy metric here, but not incredibly valuable, I suppose. But he had 3 quarterback hits between the AFC Championship game and the Super Bowl. What are we doing, Frank? They couldn't have won the Super Bowl without Frank Clark. And if so, the question I'm asking to Ryan is, how long is that list of players you could not have won without?
How big was he in the Titans game with just them all stopping Derrick Henry?
As an edge stuffer on the edge?
What Beards is saying is that stopping the run is how you win a
That's
title.
right. Beards, to answer that question as honestly as possible, I think that if you're replacing him with a replacement level player, you would expect a replacement level defensive end to be able to hold up their edge. And I don't think that it means he wasn't good. He was absolutely a plus player throughout that playoff run. Mm-hmm. But that's the difference between saying he played an important role in those playoffs versus they don't win the Super Bowl without him. I could make that argument for Damian Williams. He was an important player in that Super Bowl run.
Yeah, the Super Bowl game.
They would have won, and I think they win the Super Bowl with Darrell Williams and Darwin Thompson. But certainly, if you give maybe it's LaShawn McCoy in a better place or whatever it is that's replacing Damian Williams as a replacement level player, I think the list of guys they do not win the Super Bowl without is definitely one person long because it's Patrick Mahomes. I would say just kind of off the top of my head, Mahomes and Kelce, and probably Hill. Because you replace Tyreek Hill with a replacement with DeMarcus Robinson. I don't know if they win the Super Bowl. You replace Travis Kelce with replacement level tight end. I don't think they win the Super Bowl. Tyrann Mathieu probably on the list.
See, I would kind of
Chris Jones maybe.
I would kind of put Frank Clark in there with Mathieu just for like the culture thing with some of the defense.
Yeah, the culture thing.
Sure, but that's kind of that's the deal.
What we're doing. I don't know. Are we sure? Because that.
I think
that's an easy thing.
For that.
That's an easy thing to prescribe in the moment. Mm-hmm. But I think really the defensive leader of this team on the field is Tyrann Mathieu, and it's Steve Spagnuolo on top of him. I think there's a clear 1-2. I don't think the Chiefs' defense all of a sudden falls apart without Frank Clark. In fact, we know that because their defense was okay last year, and Frank Clark was not good, especially for his value. And that defense was very, very similar to the Super Bowl winning defense. They didn't lose the Super Bowl last year because of their defense, even with Frank Clark, again, not playing very well, them not getting pressure with 4 very often. I just think that you go, here's a picture of Frank Clark holding the Lombardi trophy up in the air, and you go, they wouldn't have been there without him. You could make an argument for Mitch Schwartz, but I think you have Patrick Mahomes. They ended up in the Super Bowl without Mitch Schwartz for the entire season, basically, last year. Whenever you have, it's also the argument that ends up coming around for how good has Bret Veach's GM tenure been. Mm-hmm. Whenever you have Patrick Mahomes, your windows get larger, your mistakes get smaller because you have the best quarterback in football. The fact that they were back in the Super Bowl last year with Frank Clark vastly underperforming on the contract he's on, I think is a really good indicator of what they look like without Frank Clark being there. They were in the Super Bowl again.
Didn't win.
I think that should be. Yeah, and you're right. They didn't win, and I'm the idiot. That's right.
At least you said it.
I'm always willing to.
I mean, I agree with your point, but at any point, if the counterpoint is you're gonna be an idiot, you know what? I might just roll with the counterpoint.
It's impossible to argue that. That's absolutely fair. Here's legitimately the next hour or so of the show. Next up, Steve Young, the Hall of Fame quarterback. I'm going to talk to him about Patrick Mahomes. At 8 o'clock, we'll talk to Travis Kelce. Curtis Seabolt and I had a chance to talk to him yesterday. We'll bring you that interview here at 8 tonight. A little bit after that at some point, Bret Saberhagen, 1985 World Series MVP, 2-time Cy Young winner, one of the best pitchers. I guess you could make an argument the best pitcher in Royals history. 2 Cy Youngs is a tough thing to fight back on.
One of the most accomplished, for
certainly.
Sure.
Certainly the most
might
decorated.
Be most talented, but Bret Saberhagen is probably the most decorated.
And I want to talk to him about pitching and a whole lot of other things. And I already did. We talked yesterday. I told you this. I've spoiled this already. Those guys are all going to be on the show in the next hour or so. And then Mick Shaffer will close out the week with us at 9 o'clock tonight. Go ahead, Rudy. What you're going to say?
ESPYs.
Yeah, I'm gonna do that.
I
also.
I haven't.
Cool. I just
want to remind.
I asked you guys many times to continue reminding me about that, so I appreciate you doing that. We will announce an ESPYs winner after Steve Young.
Oh, okay.
Coming up at the end of this hour as well, and that's my plan.
Exciting.
As we need to take a break now, and figure we can do an ESPY thing at the last segment of the hour.
I think that works.
But I'm glad that you reminded me because if I would have gotten to the end of the show tonight and then you would have gone, hey, did you do the ESPYs thing? I wasn't paying attention. I would have
You'd
I
be
would have
mad.
carried me. I would have
Yeah.
carried me into the weekend. I would have carried that shame with me. So we'll have an ESPY this hour as well. There you go. There's an almost entirely sports for you. It's really a lot of sports tonight here on Almost. We'll fix that with Mick at 9. But until then, mostly sports.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Whenever we come back, we'll talk about football. That's a promise that we probably will not be able to live up to. That's next.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Welcome back into the show as we go live to Lake Tahoe from the American Century Championship, and we're joined by a genuine NFL legend. I guess this weekend he's probably more concerned about being a golf legend. Steve Young joins us now. First of all, Steve, I know that you've got your tee off is coming up, and this is not your first time hitting the links, but how are you feeling right now ahead of a pretty big deal golf tournament?
That's fun. It really is seeing good friends, guys that I've played with, guys that I admire, guys that I'd like to be friends with, that you get a chance to meet them and be around. So that's the fun part. The only bad part is you got to go play golf for real. And, there's guys that do that. They actually play a lot of golf and, kind of with one ball, scoring everything, where the rest of us kind of hack around. So there's that little bit of, fear of embarrassment factor. So what we call that FOEF. F-O-E-F.
The faux.
Fear of embarrassment.
Yeah, the faux is brutal. Who's a try-hard? Who tries too hard? Who makes everybody else a little uncomfortable because they're too good in your group?
Well, no, the try-hard's okay. Look, if you're going to be a good golfer and come out and win this thing, you can't be trying hard. It's fine. I'm okay with that. It's not you don't have to be cool with me.
That's fair. All right. Well, then you said that you've gotten to be out there and hang out with some friends and meet some people you'd like to be friends with. Who's the person that you've met out there where you've gone, oh, this has actually turned into a nice relationship you've got with somebody?
There's so many entertainers. Alfonso Ribeiro's become a good friend. To reunite with a guy like Doug Flutie, which I knew a long time ago. There's just seeing Carson Palmer, guys that I'm friends with, but I know, you don't see or talk to them much. And so just good guys that you get to reunite with.
Well, and I can't let you come and go without talking about some football things because we're all on here in Kansas City, and obviously the Patrick Mahomes experience plus just the Super Bowl experiences these last couple of years have obviously been excellent. What have you thought as you've watched Mahomes, obviously with his first year taking over as starter, 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards, MVP, and all of that, and then these two Super Bowls?
Look, he has one. I haven't actually. There's just very, very few players that I've ever seen as peaceful and as calm and as just as present as a young player in the craziness and the adrenaline-filled wackiness of the NFL offensive huddle. Like, he is always present. He is always, and I think that's rare. Usually it's, hey, Chuck. It usually takes a couple of years or maybe 3 or 4, and he just did it right away. So he has been able to do an amazing amount of stuff in a really short amount of time. Because of that. Now, it's 3 or 4 years in, and it's almost like I want him to keep reinventing himself and never resting on any of it, right? Because he's always going to have that presence. He's always going to have, now he's old enough to have it normally, even though he had abnormally the first few years, which is amazing. I just don't want him to rest on that. I want him to become a better player all the time, and I think he's that kind of a guy. He has that kind of a coach. And so I don't want him to think about comparing it to anything else in football. So far, he has been incomparable, and I think I want him to stay that way. And I know that's a tough thing to ask, but I think if you have that mindset, you have a better shot of pulling it off. Yeah. And so I want him to continue to think about, not judging about MVPs or Super Bowls even, just like how much I can flourish as a pocket passer, reading the defenses every time, getting it to the guy, and then creating and never missing an opportunity to play out of the huddle, never going too early, just continue to refine his game, and then let everything else take care of itself.
Do you see, obviously you would have all of the information on this that anyone could ever ask for. How do you evolve that way without maybe perhaps crossing a line into over-fiddling with something? How do you make that balance of continuing what you do excellently while growing
you have
still?
you have lots of iterations in football. Lots of chances in practice and training camp and even in games to try new stuff. He's good enough that he can try stuff and pull back. He can take a couple weeks and say, look, this is what I'm going to work on. He's good enough to do that. A lot of guys are just desperate and just trying to hang on. He's good enough to pick a couple things that I want to hone in on and go play that way, and then find out, that didn't work as well, and let me iterate a little bit. That's why I'm saying it's just like have no limit to the expectations and the chances he'll take in trying to be a better player.
You talk about the peace of mind and just being very at home behind all of this chaos around him as not as a rookie, but in his first year in the league. What do you attribute that to? And how long did it take for you to find that comfort?
It's years for guys normally. We all fake it. Like, we act like we're cool. We got it all figured out, but it takes time. And I think I saw it in Peyton Manning as well. So I'm wondering if having parents who play professionally and you get used to that all of it, and there's no transition to pro ball that's overwhelming. It's like, I know I grew up with it. This is like my backyard. Right. I'm wondering if that has a little piece of it.
And then obviously looking to, you mentioned Andy Reid and clearly what he's done in this offense, what he did with Alex Smith at first, and now what he's done with Patrick Mahomes. How much credit do you extend to Andy Reid whenever you look at this offense with Mahomes at the helm?
There are great quarterback gurus. For the first time in the NFL, we probably have half the teams with people that can really coach the position. And that's amazing. We used to have 5.
Yeah.
Now maybe we have 16. And so that's great. Andy's the leader. He's the godfather. And there's a lot of people that have learned from him, and now they're great in their own right. But Andy is the person that I would, if I had a son who was playing quarterback, I'd want it with Andy Reid, number one. And he is just that guy that really understands the position and get the most out of people. So Patrick, that's another reason for Patrick to lean in, because he's now surrounded by innovative minds that he can work with. I know he knows that, but it's like, I guess the point is, if you don't kind of agitate yourself for, more excellence all the time, you can just, kind of churn along and be great and be MVP. Having that mindset that I'm getting better every year, no matter what, is something I would think would be great for Patrick, because he could. If he's in. I guess my point is he's been incomparable. I want to remain incomparable.
I have no argument with that. I'd love to keep seeing that as well. Steve, thank you very much.
All right, I got to go tee off. Take care, you guys.
Go tee off. Go hit some
right.
golf balls. Appreciate you making a little bit of time with us here.
Go Chiefs. I'll see you.
Thanks. I appreciate that. That's Steve Young, the Hall of Famer, the 49er great, and a little bit of insight on what it's going to take for Patrick Mahomes to continue to be as excellent as he has been up until this point. Again, you can follow the American Century Championship. You can go to AmericanCenturyChampionship.com for more information there as the tournament's going on out there in Lake Tahoe. We were out there a couple of years ago, pre-pandemic, obviously, and hope to be back out there again next year as we're, kind of visiting remotely with some greats like Steve Young right here on Almost Entirely Sports.
At JB Brisco, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Unbutton. unbutton. Zip.
With Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Hope you enjoyed that conversation there with Steve Young. I hope you enjoyed it more than he did. He just had some places to go. He was just, quick. I did appreciate all of the Mahomes insight, despite the first 2 minutes of that being outrageously awkward. But the idea that, hey, you've got to continue to iterate as you continue to grow and evolve as a quarterback. I have no doubt that Mahomes will successfully do this, but there's a difference between being elite for 3 years and elite for 13 years. Yeah. That is a different game, and in some cases, literally. Or I guess maybe figuratively still, but the game evolves so much.
We've seen guys have those short peaks. I mean, it's still wildly impressive to have a 3-year span where you're one of the best in the league. I don't want to, this is not meant to take away from anybody who's ever done that.
And once you get to 3 years, you're probably but it's not the same as 1 big year.
We have seen guys have stretches of greatness, right?
Sure.
Usually, probably it is more 1 to 2 than 3, but I imagine I can find those examples probably exist. I would assume most of the time where a guy's great for 3 years and then it's bad, it's probably injury related. But it's one thing, like you said, it's just it is that group of people who can do it for a decade plus.
Yeah.
It's such a small. I mean, that's the Hall of Fame, right?
That's right.
And that's again. I feel like I've been saying this for the last year or two. I don't know if Patrick Mahomes is ever going to be considered the greatest quarterback of all time because I just don't know if he can win 7 to catch up to Brady. But I think he's going. I think he probably already is. But I think he's going to go down as the most talented quarterback of all time.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
And I think that we've also seen him grow and improve on a year-to-year basis to this point. So, again, I have no doubt that he'll be able to do that, but I thought it was a good perspective there from Steve Young. And also still
wild to think that we have that,
that guy's here.
Because I'm with you. I think he's going to continue to get better and better.
It's not even Matt Stafford, who's really good and has been good for a long time.
He may never quite hit the 5,050 in a season because it's just so hard. And now
I think he's going to do it again.
There is an extra game, so it's possible. It's obviously much more. It's easier, but it just in general, right? Like you can see individual numbers. We were saying this heading into his second year after that. The numbers can be worse technically, but he'd be better, right? He could throw for less yards and less touchdowns, but be improving as a quarterback. And he has been. He has continued to improve as a quarterback, even though he didn't throw for 5,050 each of the last 2 years. But he's getting better. And it's night and day, how much better he's getting. And it seems like he's going to continue to get better.
And you just have to know where to look sometimes. Yeah. It's just it's looking at some things beyond the stat lines.
Yep.
Which I think a lot of people around here do very well. Nationally, not as well. Also, the idea of immediately having that piece about him as a quarterback in the midst of the chaos and the line of fire as a quarterback like that, I thought was pretty cool. To have a Hall of Fame quarterback say, "Oh yeah, this dude actually is the chillest quarterback on planet Earth, and he did it really in his first year as a starter." You can attribute that to a lot of things. It can be Major League clubhouse, being around that sort of pressure from a young age. It can be a year with Alex Smith taking the actual heat and you learning and watching behind that. Having Andy Reid. Also, I think there is an amount of confidence, an amount of collective sort of coolness that comes with the confidence of knowing that you've got it. That doesn't work for everybody, and it falls apart in certain places. Johnny Manziel was that dude in college, and then at the NFL level, he realized he didn't actually have it, and you start seeing all of the ramifications of that. But Patrick Mahomes has just never, in the Super Bowl, when he was getting teed off on this year, against the Bucs, you know what I mean. He getting teed off against the Buccaneers, the Super Bowl.
Didn't they win 28? Weren't they up first quarter 28-0 against Bucs this previous year?
So even in that instance, you don't have a rattled Patrick Mahomes. He's still incredibly collected and making these ridiculous plays, and that's just who he is. And that is a trait that I don't think we think about that often, because you also see it from the great ones, you see it from Brady, but getting Jared Goff off his spot. Lamar Jackson in the playoffs kind of has looked like a little bit of a different guy. Mahomes is always looking like the best quarterback in football. It's incredible.
Yeah, and I imagine one thing that's helped too, because feels like the Chiefs have a handful of those guys, especially on offense. Like Travis Kelce has just kind of always had
Joined the show in
that
10 minutes.
confidence. Tyreek Hill has just kind of always had that confidence. And I think Patrick Mahomes this just is the person Patrick Mahomes is, right? And many things have shaped obviously who he is now. But I just think you throw Patrick Mahomes essentially in any situation, he's that calm and collected guy because I just think that's his personality. But then I think also when you're surrounded by guys, like especially as a rookie, when you are kind of sitting around and you're surrounded by Travis Kelce and you're surrounded by Tyreek Hill, and they kind of just exude confidence and coolness. And even I would say it's to a lesser degree Mitchell Schwartz, who's not necessarily his cool and confidence is different than Kelce's and Hill's.
Mm-hmm.
But like I've never seen Mitchell Schwartz ever look like he's doubting anything that he's ever done in his life, right? Because he is an exceptional, talented, right tackle. So. It really is just like him ending up where he ended up is I think he's good everywhere. Maybe not the Jets with Adam Gase, but that's not his fault. He would have been good there. It's just he ended up in the
tougher.
Yeah,
It would have been harder.
He really truly ended up in the every player says this, right? Well, I ended up in the perfect situation, right? Like this is where I wanted.
Patrick Mahomes actually
he really ended up in the truly perfect situation because everything was there ready to go. It was perfect. Like the only thing they were missing, and they got it, is they went out and they drafted a first-round running back. It's the only thing they were missing.
On that note, let me announce an honorary SB. If you've been following it all over the course of this week here at Sports Radio 810, you can also follow along on our social media and see the winners that have gone up. You can also go to 18whb.com. We opened up the nominations for a whole bunch of categories for the hometown honorary SBs here, something we did last year, able to do again this year, giving out real SB trophies to people around the community, various different awards. We get to announce one for you here tonight.
Do we need music for this?
No. No, in fact, I saw.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Yeah.
I have one ready.
No.
Just for this occasion?
No.
Fine.
I was honestly trying to figure out if I could shake you off before you came in and asked the question because your mic was on. I could see you looking at the computer. I knew you were going to bring music. And no. This is not an honorary almost entirely.
Yeah, I thought I heard his mic turn on. I was honestly a little surprised.
Because he was waiting
what
to
does Grace
ask
have
if we
to
can
say?
play
But
music here.
You can see him, so you knew.
I knew exactly what he was going to do. Please don't throw the change up. Please don't throw the change up. Hey, can I throw the change up? No. But if you want to see all the winners, you can look at the Sports Radio 810 Twitter. We've been tweeting them out throughout the week so far. And again, opened it up for nominations for all these different categories. Had the voting at 810whb.com and have been able to award some winners here. In fact, that's one of the reasons we'll be talking to Travis Kelce here. And you'll hear our conversation with him in a minute as he was an SB Award winner this week as well. But the one we get to announce ourselves here tonight on Almost Entirely Sports is the Female High School Athlete of the Year on the Kansas side, presented by One Request. And the winner is Grace O'Keefe. O'Keefe was named the Kansas Gatorade Player of the Year, helping St. Thomas Aquinas to the Kansas Class 5A state title, and she's going to go on to play for Missouri State. So congratulations to Grace, the honorary SB winner for the Female High School Athlete of the Year on the Kansas side. Do we have, if you want clapping, Beard, if you had a clapping sound for it, or we can just do it ourselves.
Yeah.
Do it a cappella. Just do it
All
a cappella.
us.
Make it up. We'll make that. We're doing some Foley work.
We're authentic here.
I had clapping sound effect, but it doesn't work.
I mean, I
Well, listen.
I know it. I forget the card number. I know where it's at, but
No, I had it in hockey, but it
I
did
forget.
date violation.
I forget what the card number is.
Oh, well.
Grace, if you're listening, I hope you stopped listening right before we asked Beards to play. I hope you tuned in right after I told Beards to not play any music.
Yeah.
And right before we failed to get you the applause liner there. But congratulations to Grace O'Keefe
Good luck
of
at
St.
Missouri
Thomas
State.
Aquinas.
Fun
Kansas Female High School Athlete of the Year. Yep, going to Missouri State now.
I've
very cool.
seen Missouri State women's basketball play a couple times when I was at Wichita State.
Thank you, Rudy.
Yeah, just a little fun fact.
For more information on the honorary SBs, you can go to 810whb.com. Also at 810whb.com, you can sign up for Sports Radio 810 WHB and Chicken and Pickles' first ever Kansas City Pickleball Championship on July 14th and 15th. This is, I love pickleball. I love it.
You talk about it a lot.
Well, this has really brought it to the surface
Yeah.
for me because it's right there, and we're going to be doing a
That's what I
show
mean,
from
this-
out
the
there
last,
on
like,
the 15th.
The last 3 weeks,
But I
it's
wanna
like
play.
anytime it's mentioned,
I talk about how much I love it.
the spark in Josh's face.
Yeah, it's a great game.
Honestly, I don't even know if I've seen that. Well, normally I don't see that spark when
No.
he talks about the Suns because
That's fair.
most of the time we talk about the
been
Suns,
bad.
it's not been great. A little the spark's coming. You know, it's been there recently.
But
He
I
loves
just
pickleball,
I
guys.
love pickleball for the same reason that I love the Suns. It's because my grandparents moved to Arizona and their little retirement community. That's where
Old
pickleball really
people
caught
like
on.
Pickleball and the Suns.
And I'm an old person now. I love pickleball and the Sun. If you haven't played, it's a great game. It's sort of I do think it's sort of the halfway point between tennis and like ping pong.
Yeah, absolutely.
But you get the physical workout of it in a way like you would for tennis. It might be a perfect game. I'm trying to think if there is a quintessential flaw. I genuinely love pickleball so much. I haven't gotten to play it in so long. So I'm really excited to be out there. And you can register as well. Go ahead, Rudy. Get this. Say your last thing, and I got to give the details.
Yes, I don't remember if I mentioned this, but I don't know, a month or two ago when I was dog sitting for my dad, and obviously I have to watch like actual cable there.
Yeah.
On, I believe it was NBC Sports Network, was the pickleball.
No
championship.
kidding?
So, like for a couple hours, I watched
would love to watch
I watched
pickleball.
like pros, and like there were some people who are also professional tennis players were competing in this, and like it was like a whole invitation where they had kids as young as like 5 competing against people as old as 82, and they threw them all together. So like
As they should.
you might have like a 5-year-old.
That's the spirit of pickleball.
Like it was intense.
spirit of
There were like
pickleball-
1,000 people in this competition.
The spirit of pickleball is me at age 16 getting worked by my grandma on the
Yeah.
courts. That's the spirit. And
It
if
was
you want to
fun, though.
sign up to play in the first ever Kansas City Pickleball Championship, don't wait. Registration closes Monday at 5. But you still have time. Go to 810WHB.com. We have 3 divisions, beginner, intermediate, and expert. Plus, we have our celebrity exhibition tournament and party coming on the 15th there. Only 32 teams are available in each division. Registration's $150 per team. And if you want to be crowned Kansas City Pickleball Champions, the first thing you have to do is register your team. Do it now at 810WHB.com/KC Pickleball. Or you can go straight to 810WHB.com. You'll see it there. But 810WHB.com/KC Pickleball for the Kansas City Pickleball Championship, July 14th and 15th. I'm looking forward to that, and I'm looking forward to you hearing the conversation that Curtis Seabolt and I got to have with Travis Kelce. That's next here on Almost Entirely Sports.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Sean Ryder, Conor McGregor, and Dustin Poirier each making weight today, each at 156 for their highly anticipated trilogy fight, UFC 264, tomorrow night, Las Vegas, and on ESPN Plus pay-per-view at 10 p.m. Eastern. NBA Finals moving to Milwaukee for Game 3. Bucks trailing the Suns 2-0, including a 118-108 loss last night in Phoenix. ESPN's Kendrick Perkins.
You know, I'm feeling a little weary. I'm feeling a little scared right now for the Milwaukee Bucks. Although I picked the Phoenix Suns to win in 6, I still feel a little scared for the Milwaukee Bucks that it could end a little earlier than 6 games.
Kendrick Perkins on Greeny. Game 3 of the Finals. Milwaukee hosting Phoenix Sunday night on ESPN Radio, the app, ABC at 8 Eastern. Suns forward Torrey Craig day today with a right knee injury that he suffered last night. Novak Djokovic has won 20 straight matches at Wimbledon in 20 straight Grand Slam matches after knocking out 10-seed Denis Shapovalov in straight sets, including a first-set tiebreaker. Djokovic advances to his 7th Wimbledon final. Will take on 7th-seeded Matteo Berrettini on Sunday in London and on ESPN. On the baseball scoreboard, the Red Sox lead the Phillies 9-3 in the 4th. J.D. Martinez, a 3-run homer and an RBI double. It's on ESPN Plus. Mets and Pirates tied at 2 in the 6th. Braves have a 1-0 lead on the Marlins in the 6th on a Freddie Freeman home run, his 18th. Rays going for a 5th straight lead the Blue Jays 3-1 in the 4th. Yankees Astros scoreless in the 3rd. Royals Indians tied at 1 in the 8th.
We're back on Monday, counting down the days until the NFL training camps begin. I'll tell you who I have in my real rankings as the best running backs in the NFL. Right now, Keyshawn J. Will Zubin, Monday morning on ESPN Radio.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
We're here for a one-on-one interview with our friend Travis Kelce. Travis, I know you listen to a lot of Almost Entirely Sports. What do you think about Joshua Brisco and Beards McFly?
I mean, I don't think they suck. I can tell you that.
Thank you, Travis. On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
That liner takes on a new meaning here in this segment of Almost Entirely Sports. As yesterday afternoon, I had a chance to talk for real on Almost Entirely Sports, sort of, to the one and only Travis Kelce with a little help from Curtis Seabolt of the program. Did a little shuffling around, a little sort of, a little all-star team, I'll say. Clearly the lead dog of Almost Entirely Sports, lead dog of the program. Yep. I'm sure
Best
neither
of two
Rudy nor Petro would have a problem with either of those summaries. But it was great to have Curtis in for that and to get to talk to Travis. We did that a little bit first name basis because he is the honorary ESPYs winner of the Humanitarian Hometown Hero Award. Done a ton of great work, obviously, with Operation Breakthrough, with 87 and running, which is his charity. They've got the whole Operation Breakthrough center that they've been working on now for a little bit, and all of that's been great. Obviously, he's done a lot of great work in the community, so we got to present him with that award and also talk about the fact that we're out there at the American Century Championship in Lake Tahoe. He's hitting some balls with Patrick Mahomes. They had posted right before we recorded this segment yesterday the clip of Patrick Mahomes blasting a drive, and Kelce had said he wished he would have gone first to not have to follow that act. So we got to talk to Travis Kelce about a lot of that stuff and a whole lot more. Here's our conversation with myself and Curtis Seabolt talking to the one and only Travis Kelce here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Travis, first of all, I saw the clips on Twitter already that Patrick Mahomes already immediately just hitting golf balls as hard as possible, putting you under the spotlight. Can you just admit to us that he's really a pain to be playing with in this particular circumstance?
I'll tell you what, man, it's a blast out here, man. American Century and NBC do a great job of hosting this event. Lake Tahoe does a great job of making it very convenient for everybody involved, and I'm having a blast with my guy 1-5, man. He's hitting the ball like a monster right now. I think he won the longest drive today. Hit it about 350 right on the button. It's a lot of fun, a lot of competitive juices, but at the end of the day, it's just a lot of good times with great people and a lot of childhood idols that I've looked up to my entire life, and it's very humbling and very cool.
Obviously, you've been around all these guys a number of times, but is there somebody that still catches you a little bit? You go, oh man, I'm out here playing with blank.
Oh my goodness, plenty of them, man. Jerry Rice, Jerome Bettis, Justin Timberlake. I mean, you name it. Steph Curry. the list goes. Charles Barkley is. I used to tell everybody on my street my name was Charles when I was a kid because of how much I love Charles Barkley. So it's such a cool atmosphere to just be around these not only great athletes and great people, but just genuine and down to earth guys and girls. It's just really cool.
Obviously, you guys have, spent a lot of time, but you specifically have spent a lot of time in a team sport, being excellent at that. But whenever you are doing it in an individual sport with teammates like Mahomes or with these other people that you've looked up to for your whole life, like how does the competitiveness come out differently in an individual sport with team sport players like that?
Oh man, it's to be honest, it's very unique. You get to see how guys channel their inner competitiveness. Because I mean, in a game like golf, you want to shoot a better score than the person next to you, but it's a nonstop battle to be the best on every single shot, and you're challenging yourself to hit the right shot with the right club, and it's challenging, it's fun, it's competitive, and any time they ask me to come here, man, I'm going to jump at the opportunity.
Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce joins us here on Sports Radio 810 WHB, and one of the reasons you're joining us today, Travis, is that you are a recipient in our second annual Hometown ESPYs. You're the winner of the Humanitarian Hometown Hero Award presented by Jocelyn's Jewelry. You've always been a big person in the KC community. Just talk about why that's so important for you to play that role in this community.
I mean, I love Kansas City, man. I know nobody is. I'm not shy to say it, and everybody knows it, man. It's been an unbelievable 8 to 9 years that I've been there. The entire city has taken me under their wing as a young kid coming out of college, and really helped me grow into being a man. And all I can do is just give them all the support that they gave me. Try and make this city a better place for the youth. That's one way that I know I can help out and I can make an influence. And you know what? I don't think it's going to stop here. I can see myself really trying to make Kansas City the best city I can year in and year out. And it doesn't work without the community itself, right? Because a lot of this fundraising, a lot of the stuff that catapulted because of how strong this community is and how much this community wants to help out each other. And all the support and all the love I get on game days, man, I'm just trying to feed that right back into the city throughout the week and through my foundation.
That kind of permeates throughout your locker room and really through your organization as a whole. There can't be many teams, if any, in the National Football League or in any professional sport that take that role on as completely and as efficiently as the Chiefs do. What's it like to be involved in an organization that kind of has that as a priority?
Yeah, I mean, top to bottom, it's flawless, man. From Clark Hunt and the Hunt family to Mark Donovan, the president, Coach Andy Reid, and everybody that's in the building, right? I'm talking from the business side to the players to the trainers. Everybody involved they've done a great job of hiring great people, And I'm so fortunate and so thankful that I'm around all these great people day in and day out. Because you feed off of that. You feed off of that energy. You feed off of how the entire city and the entire Chiefs organization wants to get better and then wants to make it better for other people. And it's just a blessing, man. It's so cool to be able to come into work with guys that have that same mentality and that same drive as you, guys and girls at that. So it's very cool.
I wanted to ask you about something else you've done this offseason with the tight end university thing that you and a bunch of other top tier tight ends in the league have done. How did that work for you as in that place being a teacher? Like I've found, and lots of people have talked about this on different levels, that like teaching kind of ends up putting some of that stuff in a different part of your brain where you're kind of relearning some of the stuff that you're teaching to them. And we saw a few clips of, from that come out on Twitter and everything. What was that experience like, and what pushed you wanting to do that?
Well, what pushed me to want to do it is the guys that were involved. I mean, we got such a great feedback of guys that wanted to do it. I think George Kittle and Greg Olson were really the guys that started it up with the idea and the want to have this for the tight end group. We know that the tight end position is so unique, right? You get asked to do everything. And in a lot of situations, you're not very, praised because of what you're doing. It's kind of the underlining things or the things that you do when no one's really watching that makes everything go. And I think the tight end position is something that hasn't always gotten that shine. Now I know that myself in Kansas City, Coach Reed feeds me that ball every every game. So I'm very fortunate for the situation that I've been put in here in Kansas City. But it's a lot of pride in being a tight end. And when it came down to doing the tight end university, we're all pros. So it was really just the kind of reassuring conversations that, all right, yeah, this guy's having a lot of success with his team in the National Football League for a certain amount of years. It's kind of the reassurance that, okay, I'm doing the right things. You know, or if it's just one or two things that you could gather in terms of technique, mentality, approach to the game week, or just routine, and talking to guys about the routines that we have week in, week out during the season or the off season. It's just there was a lot of great things that I know I absorbed from other guys, and I learned from other guys. And to be honest, we're just trying to make the tight end position that much better in every single building.
Just a couple of weeks or so away from the beginning of another training camp for you guys as you try to get back to your third consecutive Super Bowl. How different is the approach this year from mentally? Not necessarily. I know the COVID thing changed things last year and it's different this year. But as you approach the season, how do you approach it differently than you did a year ago, and even compare that to 2019 as well?
To be honest, we've found a rhythm, right? I think Coach Reed does an unbelievable job of looking out for us in terms of the longevity of the season and just the routine of the week throughout the season. I think he takes care of us, so that just lets us go and just work our tails off. You know, be available, be the guys that are first in the building that want to learn and want to figure out ways to keep getting better. And like I said earlier, from top to bottom, the Chiefs organization, we bring in great guys, great humans, you know, great women that are really, you know, motivated to get better, not only for themselves, but to hold accountability for the one next to them. And when you have a mentality like that, it just makes it easy to come into work every single day and get better. You know, it's kind of like a one mistake deal where, you know, you only get one chance to screw something up, and then you get better because of it. And when you have a mentality to, you know, only make a mistake one time, you're nonstop getting better. It doesn't matter if you make a silly mistake. If you only make that silly mistake once, you're consistently getting better and finding ways to improve your game and to improve who you are as a person. So I just think that the Chiefs have done an unbelievable job of getting the right guys in the building. So the mentality really doesn't change. It's just, you know, the opportunities we got to take advantage of.
Is there a similar drive maybe to coming off the New England loss in 18, kind of getting back and really wanting to having that push you a bit? Is there any extra drive from having your season end the way it did? I know you talked earlier this month about, you know, if you don't win the championship, that the season was a failure. And just talk about how big that push is for you to end your season with a win this time.
Well, I mean, we've only done it once, right? So out of the 8 years that I've been with Kansas City, 7 of them have been failures. So you learn from those failures. You find motivation in those, and you find ways to get better as a team and as a whole, and how to stay accountable for the guy next to you. I know there's a lot of motivation in this building. There's never been a lack of that. Coach Reed, like I said, he's the ultimate leader. So he finds ways to motivate guys, even when it's hard. You know, even when it's tough, or when things can get a little shaky or adversity hits, he finds ways to get the best out of guys. And that's why I love Big Red. That's why I love being in the building, because it's a nonstop battle to keep bettering yourself for the guy next to you. And I think this year we just have an overall mentality. We got a lot of new guys that came in, but they're veteran guys. And we got leadership that had already been implemented in this in the locker room, in the building, with Pat and Tyron, and I mean, the list goes on. Chris Jones. The list goes on, and it's just it's a lot of fun that we get to come into the building every single day with these guys that just want to get better and win championships, man.
Last thing for me, Travis, you've got all of those guys. You've got the standards. You make a mistake once, you don't make it again. It's improving. You just pretend now for the next 30 seconds that no one else can hear you. It's just me and Curtis here with you right now. Can you admit to us that the fact that talking about 20-0 as a goal is a remarkably stupid story that we should just let go? Because of course you want to go 20-0. You want to win every game that you play. Can you just admit that we should stop talking about that?
I've never gone into a season thinking that I wasn't going to win every single game. It's the mentality that you have every single year. It's the goal that you put up at the top of the list to win every single one of your games, and then go and win the playoffs and win a Super Bowl. It just is what it is. That goal has never been shy. Nobody has ever, came into a season thinking, oh, I'm going to lose to this team. Yeah. It's always been 20-0. It's always been 21-0 or however many games we have. The goal is to win every single game we play, right? So I think is it possible? Yeah, I do think it's possible. I think we got the right guys. I think that we have the right coaches, and we got a team that's willing to fight against anybody. I think it's very possible. And you know what? The confidence that you got to have going into the season, that's exactly where it needs to be. So to answer your question, man, no, I don't think it's silly at all. I think it's a very, very reachable goal, and it's going to take a lot of dedication, a lot of determination, and a lot of genuine hard work throughout the season.
He has a Super Bowl ring, and now he has an honorary ESPY from Sports Radio 810 WHB. He is the winner of the Humanitarian Hometown Hero Award presented by Jocelyn's Jury. Chiefs tight end Travis Kelce. Travis, thank you for your time today. Congratulations on the award, and we'll enjoy your time in between now and camp, and we'll see you in July.
It's an honor for the award. I appreciate it, guys. And you know what? We'll get this thing rocking and rolling here in August and September and have some fun this season. We'll see you guys around.
Travis Kelce right here on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Got to talk to him, recorded earlier with myself and the one and only Curtis Seabolt. A couple things I want to unpack there. First of all, just a good interview, a good dude to talk to. Appreciated the opportunity to do that and to award him with that honorary ESPY. Beyond that very last question is the one thing that I think ends up being the most interesting in terms of, the future stuff. Now, I did not get a chance to clarify this with him, but I will clarify it for everyone else. And my question, hearing it back again, was not perfectly executed. I'm going to say, I'm going to do the thing or tap my chest, put my hand up, and I'll take the consequence of it.
My bad.
My opinion here is that, of course, they want to win every game. They're football players playing football professionally for their job. Mm-hmm. If you say anything other than we want to go 20-0, you're admitting defeat. I think that what I thought was silly, where I used the word silly and did not clarify it well enough, I don't think, is I think it's silly that anyone would second guess that as that being their stated goal. Anyone who says, they shouldn't worry about going 20-0, they should say we're going to take it 1 week at a time. I think that response is silly. I do not think that the mindset of saying we believe that we are going to go 20-0, we're going to strive for 20-0, I don't think that goal is silly at all, and neither does Travis Kelce. Why would he? Because that's the goal they have every single year. That's where it all started, was Patrick Mahomes at another golf event saying, you know what, I'm not going to tell you that I have a selfish goal of I'm going to throw 50 touchdowns, 5,000 yards. My goal is to win football games with my team and to lose 0 of them. That is my goal. Anyone who would have any sort of pushback on that, I think, should have just had it explained by Travis Kelce, even though my question was not the exact angle that I wanted to get there at. That response from Kelce should explain exactly what their mindset is, and specifically why this team is well-equipped to handle those expectations.
I just want them to want to go 13-4.
If they could just go, if they just said, we would like to have a winning record. I'd like to just, we'd like to make the playoffs, see what happens.
I mean, I get it, though. Like, obviously, football is king, and the offseason can be slow at times.
Oh, yes, it can. That's true. Fair. Yes.
The fact that we made that a story, not we as in us two,
the
but
royal we.
The collective we for a while.
Yeah.
Is
the only take is what Kelce just said.
Why would you want them to ever want to lose a game? Like, they want to win every game. They are well equipped to handle losing a game. They probably know that, hey, yeah, it's more likely that we're going to lose a game than win every game, because in sports you lose from time to time. But they obviously want to win every game. Like, I never, take that back. Maybe like my senior year of high school, I was kind of done with basketball, so I was like, hey, if we lost this game, I wouldn't be too mad.
Sure.
But I was never going to play past the high school level, right? I knew it was in for me. Like, if you're like, why would you want anybody who's at the professional level who wants to lose?
There is a slight difference between the conversation that we're having and what Kelce said there, and going, we are going 20-0.
Yeah,
we're going undefeated. I guarantee it. Or we don't lose because we're going up against a bunch of scrub teams, and that is so obviously not what anyone in this situation is saying. And it should not take more than your 7 remaining brain cells to realize that is not where this is coming from. And honestly, I think Kelce answered. He made that. I was gonna say answered the question. Well, again, This is just what I'm taking into my weekend. I feel like I really am happy with the interviews that we did, and I'm excited for you to hear from Bret Saberhagen in a couple minutes also, because it's just been one of those weeks. But I am going to have to take just a little bit of a bad taste in my mouth into the weekend because I did not ask my question clearly enough to Travis Kelce, and he may have thought that I thought it was silly for them to want to win every football game.
He just thinks you're a silly guy.
He just thinks I'm a big stupid
thinks
idiot.
You're a little silly. That's all.
And that's the bad news. The good news is I think there's like an 80% chance that he thinks he was talking to Curtis and Petro, and if that's the case,
well, now he thinks Petro's just a little silly. That's fine.
My hands are clean.
That's all that matters.
Speaking of hands being clean, some pitchers aren't. We talked to Bret Saberhagen, 2-time Cy Young Award winner, about sticky stuff, pitcher development, and being a World Series champion next here on Almost Entirely Sports. What a segue!
Did you know you can listen to Almost Entirely Sports anywhere, anytime? Well, you can. Just search for Almost Entirely Sports wherever you get your podcasts. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
You know, he does it kind of like a dead fish.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Welcome back into the show. We now get to talk a little bit of baseball, and finally we get to talk to somebody slightly more qualified to talk about Major League pitching than I am, as Bret Saberhagen joins us here now, a 2-time Cy Young winner, the World Series champion, World Series MVP no less, in 1985. Truly a Royals great. Bret, thank you for making some time for us out here. I know you're busy right now with the other sort of small white ball game at the moment.
Well, it's like ball game I know nowadays. Tahoe is beautiful always, and it's going to be a fun week. We've got some pretty good Kansas City connections playing this week here.
Yeah, we sure do. And with your time out there, who are you most looking forward to either meeting or seeing again? Somebody that you're excited to play alongside?
Well, all the ball players, we've kind of played together some time, whether it be on the golf course or played against each other on the diamond. I'm playing with Tim Wakefield tomorrow and Kevin Millar. Got a chance to meet Travis Kelce today. That was kind of cool since still pulled for the Chiefs. So that was nice. Looking forward to seeing Patrick Mahomes. Right? Yeah, his dad and I knew each other back when we were playing. When he was with the Twins, him and Scott Erickson. Scott Erickson is a good buddy of mine, so hung out with Pat Mahomes a little bit back in the day. So I wanted to make sure that Patrick told his dad I said hello.
Yeah.
It's been a long time.
Well, so that's kind of funny. Obviously, we're talking about the American Century Championship out there in Lake Tahoe. We've talked quite a bit. In fact, just a little bit ago, I was talking to Steve Young from out there, and Pat Sr. came up because we were having a conversation. Steve Young was talking about how Patrick Mahomes, the second, has such a piece about him on the field and everything, and he was sort of postulating that that really can come from being around a major league clubhouse as a kid. I mean, you being alongside Pat Mahomes Sr. in retrospect, does that make sense to you? Do you think that does have an impact on the kids of the major leaguers?
Absolutely, yeah. It was funny because Drew was born when I was 21 in my second year, so he kind of grew up around the clubhouse and that. And it was funny after he was able to kind of run around and do stuff. He's about 6 years old. I remember him coming to the ballpark, and instead of wanting to go to the kids' room to play, he would want to watch the game actually up in the stands. And as soon as the game was over, the kids were allowed to come down to the clubhouse, and he would run right by me every time, hey, Dad, and go over and hang out with anybody but me. So, yeah.
I hope you guys have had a chance to talk that out at some point since then. You're not just carrying that with you.
He likes to tell that story, that's for sure.
Good. I have to imagine. Well, I mean, you mentioned having him at 21. It's crazy. You were, World Series champion and MVP and Cy Young winner in your age 21 season. Your second year in the big leagues. That's something that I just think has to be unbelievably rare throughout the scope of Major League Baseball. And I want to talk about some of the Royals young pitchers in a little bit. But what was your onboarding process like at that time, where you were almost immediately the best pitcher in baseball, really?
Well, appreciate that. Yeah, it was just kind of having the right people around me, I think. Well, and first and foremost, not that I would have never got to the big leagues, but I was with the right organization at the right time. They needed some pitching. Some of their veteran guys were hurt coming out of spring training, and I got a chance to go to the big leagues my first week, 19 years old. Never expected that. I was able to make the AAA team out of spring training. And, just so many guys around that made a big difference for me. And, of course, Scooby and myself hung out quite a bit. So us both being younger, we were able to kind of do a ton of things together. But the likes of Blackie, who was kind of my mentor as far as pitching, I followed and kind of tried to implicate everything that he did on and off the field, and riding to the ballpark with him from time to time, because we lived pretty close together. But George also kind of taking us under his wing. So we had a lot of good veteran guys and a lot of guys that kind of show us the ropes. And it was an easy, kind of falling into the big leagues. It just was. For me, I don't know, for whatever reason, just kind of something that I felt very comfortable doing. The big crowds never bothered me. It didn't matter whether we were home or away. Big situations, it didn't bother me. So I don't know. And the tougher the situation, the more I kind of grinded. So that was just kind of my mentality.
I'm glad you mentioned the people around you, because again, obviously with a lot of these young guys that are coming up now, we've seen them struggle at different points, and Obviously, that is far from an end to their professional careers or anything. But we've talked a ton about, pitching coaches and the people that are around you whenever you're a young pitcher like that. I mean, how would you sort of make that sliding scale work between, pitching coaches are everything to your growth, or maybe they play a smaller role? What was that like in your experience?
Well, I had some pretty decent pitching coaches coming up. The thing that really made a huge difference for me was the catcher. And in my first year in the big leagues, it was Don Slott, and then we traded for Jim Sundberg. Sundberg came over, and I don't know how many of Nolan's no-hitters he caught, but just made a huge impact on me because we were always on the same page. It was, if I wanted to throw a certain pitch, it was usually called. And if I did shake off, he knew where to go on the second one. So it was easy to fall into a rhythm on the mound, and that's huge. That was huge for me. I like to have a quick pace. I didn't work slow. Got the ball and went and knew what I wanted to throw and how to set guys up. And then I had a couple other studs behind the plate with Bob Boone. I won my second Cy Young with Booney behind the plate, which is no. He made the game so much easier for me, and the way he framed the ball, and just a great receiver. And just to name a couple more, Charlie O'Brien, who was Greg Maddox's kind of chauffeur. Even though they had Javi Lopez who could hit the crap out of the ball, he always had Charlie O'Brien catching his games, just because Charlie was just a student of the game behind the dish. And last but not least, there's another stud, Jason Varitek, that I just enjoyed throwing to when I was with Sox. So had a lot of good quality catchers that made a huge difference for me. The pitching coaches are always good to keep your mechanics in line in that, but your catchers, you really need to be on the same page with them, and vice versa. But nowadays, it seems like a lot of these guys coming up, they're nobody knows how to call a game anymore, because from Little League all the way through college, if you're playing through college, you've got the pitching coaches or your head coach calling your game for you. And by the time you get to professional baseball, you always rely on that guy just putting down signs and not really knowing how to pitch. So that's something that I just can't stand. That the guys, and a lot of it's the catchers too. Catchers coming up don't know how to call a game because they've never really done it either. Their coaches have done it for them. So I think that's when you see Molina, that would be a guy that I would love to throw to. There's a few guys in and around the game that really have that catching mentality, and they don't care what happens in their at bats as long as they're doing a great job for their pitcher out there.
I think that's super interesting. We've spent a lot of. No, I still got you. Your connection's a little up and down, but if you can hear me, I can still hear you. All right.
Okay, I'm here.
Listen, again, having a perfect connection, not always easy, but important to try to establish. One other thing, kind of just within the scope of your career, and then looking at how pitchers today are operating. One thing that always has struck me, talking to anybody who spent any amount of time in the major leagues, and obviously you spent a whole lot of time in the major leagues, is how much iterating you have to do over the course of your career. Like how much you have to tweak and add and adjust just sort of constantly. Was that true for you as well? And what is that process like, if that was the case for you?
Well, early on in my career, the stats weren't what they are now. Now they have a stat for just about everything you can actually even do. And some of these stats, I have no idea what they are when you tell me. But back when I was coming up, we'd have advanced scouts, and they would basically tell you who was doing what, but not necessarily the same guys with the same stuff pitching in the games that they actually saw. So I always took it with a grain of salt. I never wanted to hear who was, just hitting the crap out of the ball and just put negative thoughts in my head. So I always felt that if I had my best stuff, I was going to go out there and win the game. And if I didn't have my best stuff, I was still going to compete and keep us in the game to give us a chance to win. So as it progressed and as I got hurt and had 2 shoulder surgeries, I happened across pitching coach who really changed around my career as far as pitching mentality, Joe Kerrigan with the Red Sox. He gave me so many different stats that you make your head spin. But what I would do is take out to the mound a couple of things, because, again, you don't want to be a robot out there. You want to be able to go out and pitch, and you want to have a good rhythm in that. So I would take a few things that he would say, and always, it's work ahead in the count. He stressed first pitch strikes. He always had a percentage of them. You're behind in the count, you pitch a big part of the ballpark, which is right field, center field. If it's a right-handed batter, or so you're pitching away when you're behind to whatever hitter it might be. Working inside is a must. You've got to, if you want the outside part of the plate, you've got to be able to throw inside and not knocking guys down, but knowing how to pitch inside. So he taught me a lot about pitching, which I was thankful for him to come around in my career when he did, because that's when I needed him most.
Talking to Bret Saberhagen, Royals legend and two-time Cy Young winner here on Sports Radio 810. Last question for me, Bret, here is something that has changed very, very recently here in Major League Baseball. You get a mid-season adjustment and crackdown on the very large umbrella of sticky stuff. I have no idea what was and wasn't being used back in the late 80s and 90s and all the way really, into the early 2000s. You were with the Red Sox, late 90s and everything, to baseball now. What do you make of the landscape in terms of pitchers using sticky stuff? Has that always been a part of the game? And then what did you make of the idea that Major League Baseball was going to try to crack down on it mid-season like they did?
Well, again, I listen to baseball and watch baseball, and I had no idea that pitchers were using sticky stuff all year long. I would use a little pine tar with a little rosin when it was really cold at the beginning of the season, or maybe late in the season, just to get a feel for the curveball and that. But I would, after each half inning, I would go in and use rubbing alcohol and get it off my fingers. But during the summertime, you really don't need anything. It's a little moisture, a little sweat on your hands, and you go to the rosin, and you get really good tackiness out of that. So I had no idea, and I'm actually going to blame it on all the damn analytics, because all these pitchers are using it year round, because all they hear on a regular basis is spin velocity and rotation, and these stats that doesn't mean a damn thing to me. Can you hit the outside of the plate with a fastball? Can you hit a gnat's ass from 60 feet 6 inches? If you can do that, you're going to be really successful in this game. It doesn't matter what the hell you put on your hands. So I just can't believe that everybody's buying into this crap and having to just kind of go over, okay, well, my pitching coach is on my butt because my rotation isn't up to where it's supposed to be.
Right.
Get guys out. It doesn't matter. That's bottom line. Get the guy out, pitch it. And these guys want to throw the ball so hard all the time, they're not hitting their spots, and they're getting their butts kicked around. So if you can hit a spot, like I say, hit a gnat's ass from 60 feet 6 inches, you're going to do just fine in the big leagues.
Well, Bret, thank you again for making some time for us here tonight. And I don't know if you need any extra sticky stuff for your golf grip or anything, but if you need, I don't know what your golf spin rate is, whatever you need, I hope it comes to you this week at the American Century Championship.
Well, I'm taking it nice and easy and enjoying Tahoe again. I feel very fortunate to be blessed to be invited each and every year that I've been out here, and they do just a fabulous job. NBC, Harrah's, Corbell, American Century, of course. It's a fabulous event, and feel very fortunate to be a part of it. I appreciate the phone call and getting caught up with everybody.
Well, I'll tell you what, you ever got anything you need to get off your chest, analytics, spin rate, pine tar, whatever it is, you've got the number now. You give us a call, and we'll make some time for you.
Appreciate it.
Bret Saberhagen here with us on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Take the show with you wherever you go. Listen live on the Sports Radio 810 mobile app and 810WHB.com.
Game is so
You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports
This game is so violent that the congratulatory butt smacks are aggressive.
with Joshua Brisco
Put me straight to the injured reserve with a bruised butt cheek.
on Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Thanks again to Bret Saberhagen for joining us. I really enjoyed talking to him. I feel like we could have probably a larger, longer conversation about the role of analytics in baseball, and maybe we might not agree on all things there. But I enjoyed his insight on a variety of things there. What, Rudy? What?
You're soft.
He didn't. That was from Twitch. You can't be
I
mixing
didn't
your
say
sources here.
I never said he called you.
You
soft.
heavily implied that
I am
he's
calling you soft.
I think that there's something to, the more you're paying attention to things like spin rate, the more you do want to have stats that reflect that. But also, I think that generally speaking, the analytics come from the sport and they're used to explain them, not necessarily to reinvent them. But sometimes they can have that impact. But regardless, I thought the pine tar in the cold sort of stuff was interesting, and a little bit of a discussion there of, what it means to have what is a good pitching coach. Who do you rely on for your development and as you iterate and change your game over the course of a career? The Royals just lost in a walk-off, by the way, so a pretty pertinent piece of a pertinent discussion there, I would say, and I think that the Royals should fire Cal Eldred over the All-Star break, but we've been over that before, I think. So
I think they should probably invest in a time machine.
Yeah.
Go back.
Okay.
A couple years.
Sure.
And maybe not hire him.
Wow. Well, listen. The Chiefs clearly don't win the Super Bowl without Frank Clark. Who's to say that the Royals, even before hiring Cal Eldred, would have won that World Series?
True.
Time is a flat circle. The promise of them eventually hiring Cal Eldred really could have been the reason that they won the World Series.
True.
I'm not willing to say that that's not related.
And if the Chiefs had Alex Smith, we're looking at a three-peat.
Absolutely.
19, 20, 21, three-peat.
And if D Ford, I don't really want to keep having this conversation because I'm already so annoyed by where Twitter has gotten at this point on the Frank Clark thing. I don't want to, but we've got 10 minutes before Mick.
Give me time somehow,
Give me your NBA stat, Beards. You told me you had a great NBA stat earlier today. Give me that.
Let me find it. You talk for a second. Let me find it.
Doesn't even have it ready.
I thought you were gonna have it. I thought for sure you were gonna have it ready.
Talk about Frank Clark.
Rudy, didn't you have something else that I was supposed to? Oh, tell me what was on KJZ this morning that you like so much.
Oh, whew. So KJZ, Keyshawn, J. Will, Zubin.
Congratulations, by the way, for ESPN having their first black radio host in ESPN history. Really important. Oh, hold on. Nope, I was hacked.
I have the stat here.
It's a show that.
No, Rudy's got a thing.
Okay.
So it's a fine show.
I was going to say Rudy was more ready with his thing than you were with yours, but I really don't know that Rudy was.
No. It's a fine. I don't know if I'm allowed to say something bad. Here's the thing. You make your opinion of the show as you want to.
Sure.
But Keyshawn today had I did not hear this on the show. I just heard this on the promo of the show that they were playing in a commercial. And basically, it was the highlight of the day, right? What was like a highlight clip from the show of Keyshawn going on a rant about how he's a little concerned about the Chiefs' future because Andy Reid is getting old. Because I don't know if you know this, but Andy Reid's not 22.
That was a direct quote, right?
Yes, direct quote. And Eric Bieniemy is going to be gone soon. Hopefully. I hope he is. I don't know at this point because I thought he was gone 2 years ago, and he's still here. Yep. I hope he's gone soon. I don't know. Point being, Eric Bieniemy's going to be gone, head coach somewhere, and Andy Reid's got a year tops. Pretty much the way it is. Keyshawn didn't say that. Just kind of what he implied that. Andy Reid's probably got just a couple years left. What are the Chiefs going to do? Just an absurd take. I mean, did you know he's not 22? Could have fooled me.
Beards, what's your stat?
Ben Simmons.
Is he 22?
I don't think so. Has missed more free throw attempts in 12 playoff games and 73 free throw attempts than the Phoenix Suns have in 18 playoff games and 330 attempts.
I heard last night that
Ben Simmons has missed 48. The Suns missed 43.
they might get through the finals. The Suns could win the finals and miss fewer free throws than Ben Simmons did.
They missed their last one in game 1. I don't remember what it was last.
It was Jay Crowder. They'd not missed a single free throw. Jay Crowder got 2. He hit his first one, missed his second one, and he had 1 point in that game. Jay Crowder.
25 of 26.
Suns currently have would have the NBA record for highest free throw percentage in a playoff if the playoffs ended today, which they won't, but they will in 4.
Hit me with that one more time, Beards. You can blow through it on this one if you want, but I want to hear the numbers one more time.
Ben Simmons has missed more free throw attempts in 12 playoff games, 73 attempts, than the Phoenix Suns team has in 18 playoff games and 330 attempts. Simmons has missed 48. Phoenix missed 43.
So Frank Clark, I really would rather talk about anything else. It's a crappy Twitter discussion, and I think here we're all going to end up on a close enough page that it's not an interesting radio discussion. But I'm just so peeved by how we're doing this. We should be better at being able to evaluate the impact of a player in 2021. To say and this might be the Sisyphusian task of infinitely pushing this boulder up the hill. Patrick Mahomes is so good at football, and Andy Reid, who's not 22 by the way, is so good at coaching an offense.
Well, then we have no future.
That we are going to have an incredibly difficult time evaluating things that are not directly correlated to those two guys. There are players here's what I do want to talk about. Let me give you this one. The Chiefs didn't trade for Sammy Watkins, but they gave him quite a bit of money, right?
Mm-hmm.
Clearly up and down. Clearly last year was a disappointment, as was Frank Clark. And the year before, though, you get this from Sammy Watkins in the playoffs on their way to a Super Bowl victory. You get 7 receptions for 114 yards and that iconic game-stealing touchdown against the Titans. And in the Super Bowl, you get 5 for 98 as the offense needed everything they were getting over the course of that game, right? Do the Chiefs win the Super Bowl if you replace Sammy Watkins there with Demarcus Robinson? Or more accurately, you spend that money somewhere else? I don't know for sure. I'll tell you that I think that they still win because Patrick Mahomes is working in this case now with Travis Kelce, Tyreek Hill, and somebody else who costs about the same amount of money as Sammy Watkins did. Or even if you just replace him with straight-up Demarcus Robinson, I do think they still win the Super Bowl because it's a game being commanded by Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid giving the ball to Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. With an offensive line that was not doing a ton in that game. They had an excellent defensive line opposite them, obviously, against the 49ers. Sammy Watkins played a big role in that game.
Yeah.
Damian Williams played a big role in that game. But to say that they don't win without those guys is just is being blinded by a smoke cloud of not being able to remember how good Patrick Mahomes is. I think I said this earlier, but at making your windows larger and making your blemishes smaller. That's what elite quarterback play does. It's why the Green Bay Packers won at least one. It was just the one with Aaron Rodgers, but they got that one with Aaron Rodgers, and they've been excellent with Aaron Rodgers whenever he's been at his peak because great quarterback play opens your windows and shrinks your blemishes. To then say that your fifth best defensive player is an immovable piece in this argument is so short-sighted of the thing that is so important here. It's that you have the best part figured out. So everything else, if you have an elite defense with Patrick Mahomes, you should not lose any football games. If you have the 2018 defense and win a coin flip, you're in the Super Bowl with Dee Ford and Bob Sutton as your defensive coordinator. Now, what if I said, you know what? I don't think the Chiefs make the AFC Championship game in 2018 without Dee Ford and Bob Sutton. What if I said, you'd laugh at me, rightfully, because that's not the reason they were there.
Smart you are.
Listen, Dee Ford had some good runs with the Chiefs.
He had a good
here
year.
and there.
2018 was a good year. outperform.
Bob Sutton was defensive coordinator for a while. That team got to the AFC Championship
5
game.
years.
There were some good years in there.
Mm-hmm.
Do they get there with just a random other defensive coordinator? Yeah, absolutely. Of course they do.
Might go farther.
They absolutely should. They would, of course. And that's an exaggeration, but where do you want me to draw this line? Do they win it without Anthony Hitchens? Yeah, I think they do. Did Anthony Hitchens play a big role in winning a Super Bowl? Yes, absolutely. Also that. It's just, it's a relatively minute distinction that is causing a lot of really frustrating, I think, purposefully dense conversations in large part. You go, oh, well, listen, the trade was good. The contract was good because they won.
I mean, neither good.
And they're not. Those are not good values. Now, I guess you can have a spin-off there of now evaluate Frank Clark as a whole. Mm-hmm. But I think to be able to evaluate Frank Clark as a whole, you have to come to some sort of conclusion about Frank Clark on the Super Bowl championship winning team.
Well, so I mean, even if you're just trying to evaluate Frank Clark as a member of the Chief, take away the contract, take away the trade, and he's still been disappointing.
Yeah, as you're starting, as your number one, dominant edge rusher. Yeah.
And so, you then add in the contract in the trade. You gave up valuable assets for Frank Clark. Now, if you just want to look at the player who Seattle drafted with that pick, because they drafted a defensive end, I think it was L.J. Collier from TCU. He's been bad. He's been very bad. So, and not saying the Chiefs would have drafted that player, but guy who obviously went around that area, played defensive end. We know the Chiefs like their highly drafted, edge rushers, right? That's something this front office has done. But you gave up real assets and a lot of money for a player who has outperformed, and his playoff run has been over-exaggerated.
The other thing that I really don't want to do is assume leadership, which is getting thrown around a little bit right now, I think is really dangerous. The Chiefs will run Tyrann Mathieu out with the coordinators whenever they have press conference days with the coordinators, right? That's a pretty easy one to read. Patrick Mahomes talks to the media about as often as Andy Reid does at this point.
Yep.
Those guys, I think, are easy to point to. Chris Jones gets a decent amount of podium time. Anthony Hitchens gets a decent amount. Frank Clark gets a decent amount. That's probably going to change. Travis Kelce gets a good amount of podium time. Assuming that the locker room would not have had a good cultural change if it would have merely been Steve Spagnuolo, Tyrann Mathieu, Chris Jones, and Anthony Hitchens leading the turnaround on the defensive side of the ball, I think is also just really obtuse. I just don't think I think you're digging a mile wide and an inch deep if you're trying to get in on, well, listen, they talk about his, intensity. And yes, he wanted to fight James Palmer on the sideline. That might be his most actually memorable highlight. I get it. Yeah, he's intense. As is Tyrann Mathieu. And this is Steve Spagnuolo's defense. That is hugely important. Adding Mathieu is huge, right? I really do think that he probably belongs in that conversation. Yeah. I don't know if the Chiefs win the Super Bowl without him. But the biggest change the Chiefs made in that offseason wasn't Dee Ford and Frank Clark. It wasn't even Tyrann Mathieu. It was Bob Sutton and Steve Spagnuolo. That's the difference. That is the biggest possible difference there. And if you say, well, but listen, maybe the third leader defensively there actually turns the tide. Again, I just think is really missing the point.
It's not that losing Frank Clark guarantees you're guaranteeing they still win, but it's this notion that they have to have him to win the Super Bowl is absurd.
And we also just I don't think we do a very good job of evaluating bit parts. It's what people wanted Damian Williams to be the Super Bowl MVP. It's well, no, that would be stupid. He played a big role in the Super Bowl, but yes, it would have been stupid because Patrick Mahomes also plays for that team.
Who's he?
Let's close out the week in a better mood. Mick Shaffer next.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio 810 WHB. Sports Center.
I'm John Ryder, Conor McGregor, and Dustin Poirier both weighing in at 156 pounds today for their trilogy fight in the main event of UFC 264 tomorrow night in Vegas. Poirier with a second-round TKO in their most recent fight in January. McGregor won their first matchup back in 2014, but the Irishman just 1-2 in the UFC over a nearly 5-year stretch. ESPN analyst and former UFC heavyweight champ Daniel Cormier.
He used to live this crazy life where he was so out there. It let him be so free in the octagon that he couldn't be beat. It was like everything the guy touched turned to gold. But then he got more reserved and more conservative, and then he started to struggle.
Daniel Cormier on Keyshawn, J. Will, and Zubin. Conor McGregor, Dustin Poirier, Port 3 tomorrow night on ESPN Plus pay-per-view at 10 p.m. Eastern. In baseball, Oakland starter Cole Irvin, a perfect game broken up in the 6th inning. A's have a 2-1 lead on the Rangers in the 6th. Reds lead the Brewers 1-0 in the 7th behind Wade Miley. Yankees have a 2-0 lead on the Astros in the 5th inning. Houston All-Star Carlos Correa placed in the league's health and safety protocol. The Mets pounding the Pirates 12-2 in the 7th. Francisco Lindor, a grand slam, his 10th home run of the season. Pete Alonso, a 3-run shot, his 16th of the year. In the 9th, in Miami, Braves flagging the Marlins 4-0. Charlie Morton, 7 scoreless. Freddie Freeman with his 18th home run. Red Sox hammering the Phillies 11-3 in the 6th at Fenway. In the 9th, in Baltimore, White Sox pounding the Orioles 9-1.
We're back on Monday, counting down the days until the NFL training camps begin. I'll tell you who I have in my real rankings as the best running backs in the NFL. Right now, Keyshawn, J. Will Zubin, Monday morning on ESPN Radio.
This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
Mick Shaffer, not a simp. Next!
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
The only way to end out a week here on Almost Entirely Sports is to do it the right way. And today, the right way, as always, is with Mick Shaffer, 41 Action News, who made it back from a 4th of July weekend. Frankly, Mick, I thought you might just sort of disappear in a cloud of smoke bombs.
That's how I want to go.
Yeah.
That's it. That's how I want to go out of this world. But no, I'm happy to report the Schaffers, all 5. We still have 49 fingers. All intact.
That's a huge majority.
July 4th, 2016 was kind of rough. Let's
just
be honest. Yeah.
I mean, look, and again,
but I still love her, even with 9 digits.
And that's I think just even loving her 9/10 as much would probably be enough. Like I feel like that would still make you a loving. I don't know who you're talking about. Is this your wife? Did your wife lose a finger?
No, I was a joke.
No, I knew. I was trying to continue the yes and, okay. And I dug in too deep right away. I'm gonna
put Mick in a bad situation.
Yeah, and I'm gonna carry
3
this.
minutes into the show.
I'm gonna carry this into the weekend now and be like, oh man, well Mick was just doing a bit, and I thought I was gonna just sort of continue the bit with him, and then I beefed it. I'm gonna carry this as a burden with me.
We didn't cover that in our planning meeting.
Right, because we rehearse this whole hour down to the syllable. Really.
I didn't even know. We're recording on this one. This is live. Okay.
This is the live one.
And that's the thing. You get so used to it in practice that whenever game time comes around, you may as well just still be practicing. And at this point, we'll do this. We'll do this hour 3, 4, 5 times, and then sometimes we'll just take the best cut. Today we have a little time constraint, so we want to actually. Take this cut.
It's the best way to do radio, I've found.
Do
20 hours, pick your best 4.
Yeah, and that's a healthy way to live your life that is not going to result in, an early grave, various health conditions, stress-based, whatever. You're wearing your sunglasses on the front of your neck, by the way, like sort of a wacky Guy Fieri. Walk me through that.
I don't care. Like, there's no plan there. I don't care. It's like, whatever. I took my hat off, my sunglasses right there. Okay, they're staying there. I'm fine.
I think I would be worried about them falling off.
You have, for you to pull off the I don't care look, it takes you like 3 hours, in the morning, to come out of the house looking like, man, I just took 3 minutes. And I know how that goes.
Right.
Me, I don't care.
Yeah, I take 45 minutes just to try to get the beard to just lay flat. Like that whole. This is a whole process, and then I just threw on a hat on my way out the door.
It takes half an hour to do your bed head right with the product,
just to put a hat on over it. Because whenever we're live on our video streams, if I take my hat off and have to run my fingers through my hair just to try to keep, I run my fingers through my hair, the subs start coming in on Twitch. That's just simply how it works. We start getting the tips and the bits and all of that. But then, put
when
the
the
hat
hot
back
tub
on
comes
again.
out, that's
and that eventually, I do
that's
think
the real money.
I do think Mick is our guy for our Almost Entirely Sports hot tub stream whenever that happens.
Oh, hell yes.
I think that's.
I love a hot tub.
Do you love? Okay, I think
that's why I love baths so much. Just sitting in hot water.
Are you a bath guy?
Love baths.
Really?
I think we've hit on that before here. Maybe not.
It's totally possible that we would have, but I would like to. What is your bath situation at home?
I'm naked. Hot. Water's hot. I have a towel next to me because I have my phone in my hands, but sometimes your hands get wet.
Yeah.
So you got to towel them off.
Yeah.
So you can look at your phone.
Now the phone in the tub, that seems like a good relaxing neutral space. I don't know if you're burning incense or something else,
No.
and this seems like
No candles, no nothing. I'm just in hot water.
My real question though is this a standard tub that shower head, or do you have like a good size sort of fancy tub?
It's a good size.
That
tub.
I think that completely changes it.
I mean,
for
it's got the jets. I don't really use the jets, but it's got them.
But you have the space though. That's the thing. 'Cause I'm trying to think of the last time I haven't taken a bath in the house that I live in now, which I've lived in over a year. But like the last time that I tried to take a bath, for whatever reason it was in a tub that is big enough for me to sit in and be mostly covered by water, but it's just the rectangle there.
Yeah.
That is not relaxing. That turns into boy soup very quickly, and it doesn't hold the heat, and I don't like how I'm feeling or what I'm seeing from myself in that moment. But you get a hot tub-esque sort of tub, that I feel like there's room for that in my life.
My problem is when you're a tall boy.
Yep.
Most of your legs just can't fit underneath the water.
That's right.
It's just not possible. So like I have to essentially bend the legs to where basically all of from like thighs to ankles.
Yeah.
They're just exposed out of the water.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now a bath would be great if I had a tub that, like, growing up we had one. We had the jacuzzi tub. Take baths all the time because we had the jacuzzi tub. Can fit in that thing. It's been a while since I've had one of those. Probably the closest thing I get to taking a bath now is, it was probably a couple years ago was my last time. And I don't know if this counts, where I was just very long night the night before with some friends.
Sure.
And I needed to take a shower.
Best time for a
And
bath.
I just got tired of standing, and I sat down while the shower came over me. I don't know if that counts as a bath, because technically I am sitting in the bath, but the shower head is just dousing me with water.
Is that a bath? I think a sitting shower is exclusively the domain of the drunk or the depressed.
Yeah,
like I think
that's
those
right.
are the only two sitting shower moves.
I worry about your next move if you're sitting in the bath and the shower is raining down on you, because that doesn't seem fun.
Tired.
You're either crying or
Needed to sit
barfing. I
down.
think.
Yeah, I was like, man, if I keep standing up for any longer, this is not going to end well. And I'm not trying to throw up in the shower.
No.
Sure, the toilet is right next to me, but I don't trust myself to get out of said bath without slipping and falling. There's a lot of steps involved there.
What is your shower to bath ratio? How often are you going to the big bath?
Great question.
Setup? Thank you.
Shower every day.
Yeah.
Once-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Once every 2 weeks a bath.
I think that's a good ratio.
14 to 1.
Yeah.
That feels right.
I think that's
Feels
a good
right.
ratio. Because you can't. Can you take a bath in the morning?
I don't-
I think that would F
I
up my
can.
whole day.
I
Can
can.
you?
I mean,
Well, I can take it anytime.
I think you could if you have nothing really to do that day. Like,
I don't
Yeah.
bathe in the bath. I take a shower after the bath.
Okay.
Oh,
All right. Hold
there's
on.
the interesting thing. Yeah.
Okay. But you are, as we've
I'm
previously
wasting
established.
a ton of water. My
Yeah.
carbon footprint If that counts as carbon, the water
It's
part is huge.
Excessive. So, but you're not treating it as a hot tub. You are nude, as previously established.
Yeah.
But you're not. There's no soap there. You are just stinky Mick
Soaking in the
gets in
water.
water.
I'm rarely in my stinky Mick. I mean, how often are we stinky? right?
Unshowered
I mean,
Mick.
Just showered.
Unshowered
Haven't
Mick
showered in 24 hours, whatever.
gets into the bath, and then you're going to shower after that. Shampoo if you want it, soaping up and all of that.
Yep. That's exactly
Okay.
what I do.
I actually
Wow.
think this might, though, be the best way to do it.
It's
That
the
don't
answer to
use
what
the
everybody
bath.
says.
Yeah, don't use the bath as
Like,
the
oh,
cleaning because you're just sitting in your
You're
filth.
shooting your own filth, which is the stupidest thing ever. Well, I'm an hour before that. I was walking around in the filth. It was on
Right.
me. And at least some of it's off
Yeah.
of me now. What's the difference?
Yeah.
But I get like washing it off and then it clinging back onto you. So I wash in the shower.
I don't think
I
that's
think this
bad.
is the right way because I mean, like
Yeah.
when I go, generally, if I go swimming or even got in a hot tub, like if I have the opportunity, I'm going to take a shower afterwards.
Right.
To essentially like it's the same thing.
Yeah.
I think this is not about all baths. I think this is just my association with bathing, with the bath experience. Is again there's some reason that I'm doing that. It could be literally anything, but whatever. I decided that I needed a change in my day that day, that I'm going to sit in this water as a thing I'm choosing to do, as opposed to just getting clean, which is what the shower is there for. So the idea that you could have a bath and then take your shower and then go into work is totally mind-boggling to me. I just think if I take a bath, it's for my next 4 hours to be as unmoving as possible.
Yeah, I don't think I could do it like before work or before.
I rarely do it before work.
Yeah,
Okay,
like
okay.
I don't think I could do it before like I had a big day coming.
Saturday morning
End
bath,
of the day-
though.
Well, that's the thing. So if it's
Good
a
time for a bath.
weekend,
Yeah.
I know I don't have a lot going on. Maybe I'm going out or something later. Maybe I'll swing by the grocery store. That feels like a good bath day.
I think if I take a bath, I'm not leaving the house again until the next day. I think that's where I align. But I also don't have a good
Yeah,
bath.
and that's my problem.
It's just a shower container, basically.
I'm just too tall. That's my.
Yeah.
Here's the thing. Everybody says, "Oh, I wish I could be tall," and then you try to take a bath or get on an airplane, and life is just
How
not
tall are you?
comfortable. About 6'3" I'd say.
Yeah.
I'm-
Guys
I'm-
that are way taller than that. Too,
Oh
they
yeah,
have way
I'm
harder.
about at the that edge of like if you get taller than me and
Yeah.
you're not a professional athlete,
Yeah.
what's the point?
Yeah.
what do we do? What's the point? At the very least, you had to have college paid for.
Right.
I don't know if this came up last week, but I found out at Beards' wedding that Rudy's +1 to the wedding had before the wedding turned into Rudy's girlfriend.
Oh.
I'll tell you how I found that out more specifically later. I told the radio version of the
still
story
feel
on radio
bad about
already.
this.
I
I wanted to tell you in person. That's why I was like, I wanted to make it like I didn't want to do it over a text or over a
Why don't you
message.
defend yourself and then turn off our microphone so I can tell Mick how I found out really quick?
Okay, so basically, the whole point is we found out about Beards getting engaged off Facebook, and so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna tell him in person because it's important to me to tell him in person. It wasn't as important to me to tell the other person who.
And
I
that's
had
why
sent
he
the
betrayed
message.
me, and that is why I'm holding this grudge against him now and forevermore. And because I found out through that other person.
Yeah, the other person, I was fine with them finding out in a text message, but I wanted to tell you in person.
Well,
I had a whole plan.
Well, you didn't because you
Wait,
should have known that I was reading the other person's
So
text.
how
that's a
long
great
was she your
point, yeah.
+1 before she became your girlfriend?
I mean, we had started the talking process, like where it was like you're
talking.
if you're
How do you
you're
feel about the phrase
trending
"the
in that-
talking process"?
You're
Like maybe
trending
you've
in
never
that
dated
direction.
before.
I
Yeah.
mean, not much, but like we were trending in that direction, right? Like there was some pre-draft, like we're
doing
meeting
some scouting.
We've had multiple meetings here. Everybody knows that everybody knew Trevor Lawrence was going 1-1. We were just waiting for the day to make
Which
it
one of you
official.
is Trevor Lawrence? Which one of you is the Jags? I think
Rudy's
she's
the
Trevor
Jags.
Lawrence. Yep.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, because you need someone to come turn this franchise around.
Yup, exactly. I thought Urban Meyer might be
He's
the
been
good
Urban
fix,
Meyer making
but
dumb moves the whole time. She's gonna come save him. So wait, what sort of dialogue or moment or happening took place to take it to the girlfriend level? Did you talk and say, "Hey, this is official now"? What happens?
yeah, I think it was just we'd hung out a handful of times. I mean, we've been talking, I guess, like seriously, maybe a month or something like that, right around there. And I'm generally somebody who I will rush things more. So I was trying to take my time a little bit. Here's the thing. A lot of my choices in life have not panned out great. I'm said it
Gotta talk
I'm in
to Trevor
radio,
Lawrence.
right? So I was like, you know what, let's do things a little different. So just taking a little bit of time. And then I kind of knew whenever wedding weekend, it was like, you know what, I'll do it then. But also I didn't want to do it before Beards' wedding because I didn't want, not that getting a girlfriend is this huge significant thing in life.
For you.
But I didn't want to, I thought it'd be weird to do it at
Pretty
Beards'
big
wedding
news.
or something. So I was like, let's do it before, and then I'll tell Josh at the wedding, and then the said other person,
And listen, man, sometimes
And I should have known.
Sometimes it gets tweeted out that, that the Jags are zeroed in on Trevor Lawrence,
Yeah, here's the thing. I wasn't fully thinking because we were also running late to said wedding, and so I am frazzled. My mind is all over the place.
Were you late to the wedding or the reception?
No. Oh, boy.
So
we got in right. So the wedding had technically started.
Yeah, Beards was standing by the altar.
Yes.
He was the only one up there yet, but he had made his grand
But
entrance.
Grandma had
when
walked.
Rudy walked in, they thought it might be the bride.
That's right.
Yeah,
That's
Grandma
right.
had walked down and was taking some time to get seated before the best man and the
Yeah,
and the bridesmaid
Grandma
came.
was in the alleyway or
You
the
could've beat
whatever.
Grandma there.
So fortunately, Grandma took some time, which bought me the time that I needed to get in. And the guy even said to sign the guest book real fast before sitting down. And I was like, okay. And you see all these well thought out. And I'm just like, congrats, Beards. And it's sloppy handwriting.
I was trying to wave him into the row of seats in
I
front
gotta
of
get
us
this
like a
done
third
fast.
base coach, just like you got to dig right now.
Get down.
Wedding started at 6:06 or at 6. I got in at 6:06. Now I don't think it actually it was about 6:04 is my guess when it officially started.
The real shocker here,
man.
though, which you should understand very well, Mick, is that Renee and I got there 30 minutes early. Rudy got there 6 minutes late.
That's ironic.
Yeah.
That's never happened
that
before.
Speaks to me. That tells me about the girlfriends,
This
basically.
is well.
So here's the thing. This isn't the first wedding we've been to. First wedding we went to, literally, again, also run a little late. Literally, we walk in, and as we walk in, not even 5 seconds, the wedding has started. So we cut it close.
You've been to two
that
weddings with her
together. And
would you call I would call you a punctual person.
Yeah.
Rudy. So
Yeah,
she's
yeah.
late. You're calling her out.
Oh, yeah,
She's
absolutely.
Fashionably
She
late.
knows,
Yeah,
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Beards' wedding was there's a little bit of it that's my fault because I thought it would take 30 minutes to get there. It took 40, so there's 10 minutes. But
you would have
even
left.
with those
You
10
would have
minutes,
left an
we're
hour and a half before wedding time if you would have had your druthers.
even with those 10 minutes, we're getting there, 3-4 minutes before the wedding starts, which isn't you're technically early and on time, but we would have been the last people there still.
This all started because your girlfriend used a phrase of what she's generally, what she's looking for in a man. And I was just trying to decide if you guys are, this is pretty fresh. So I don't think I can put her on blast this early on in your guys' relationship. It feels dangerous to me. So I think that this whole story
Sounds like
ends
she's
up
a slowpoke. I'll
not
say.
not having. No,
and
it
maybe
was-
does it for attention.
Oh yeah. We were in Wichita for 4th of July, and it worked out well. But we were gonna go visit some friends, and of course she was about 30 minutes late. Now it worked
Yeah.
out because my buddy, got off work late, so it worked out.
You gotta start
but,
lying to her. In a lot
Well-
of ways, the first way is to tell her that time is like 30 minutes or an hour earlier.
I do this with Josh. So
Yeah.
I
practice.
have practice. Where I tell Josh we need to leave for a remote 15 minutes before we
Yes,
actually do
you
need
actually
to,
need to.
because I know he will be about 15 minutes late, which will have us leaving.
15?
But you can't tell him that. You can't tell him that because
No,
as
no,
a
no, no.
habitually slow person,
Yeah.
he's going to factor that in.
Yeah.
That's right.
Right? Like I tried for years to set my clock 10 minutes fast. Well, I'd hit my alarm it's 10 minutes fast,
Yep.
boys and
Yes.
girls. Okay. It ain't really 7 a.m.
Here's the thing though for me. I have figured out why I am perpetually late to things.
Lazy.
And it's because I'm lazy. It's because I'm always trying to squeeze the last bit of juice out of whatever I'm doing at that time
I used
before
to
I
tell
have to
myself
leave.
that same thing.
And, well, okay, well maybe I'm lying
I'm
to
in
myself.
the moment. I'm in the moment. I like what
No.
I'm doing now. I'm
Oh,
about
no.
the present.
No. It's more just like it's just fire extinguisher as long as I possibly can until the extinguisher is completely empty before I grab the next one. And so, I'm working on something at home, and I'm going to work on it until the minute I have to leave. And then somewhere in that 3-minute span, I can't find my keys or something,
You don't allow time for troubleshooting.
That's exactly right.
I used to be you, and I used to be your girlfriend. And I overcame it. It took a long time, years, and now I am a punctual person.
We can only hope that Rudy's girlfriend also overcomes being Rudy's girlfriend just as quickly as possible for her sake and all of ours. And we thought we weren't going to have anything to talk about today.
We've had plenty
Talk
to
about
talk
baths and being late for weddings and.
I mean, this is what the people want to know.
Right.
It really is.
This is why this show's called Almost Never Sports.
That's exactly. Wait, listen, man. We had Steve Young interrupt me for 7 minutes on tonight's show. Like we've done our sport. We've done our almost. You know, he did not. I'm not trying to put Steve Young on blast or anything.
The Suns won an NBA game last night.
Just any game. It's just an NBA game.
Can we not get back on a Saturday? Do we really have to wait till Sunday?
Right. It really bums me out because the pacing of these playoffs has been every other day the whole time. I think in the finals they've stretched out for travel days. I think.
Yeah. So I don't remember how it's been for the whole players. Generally,
well, your team wasn't in it for very long.
That's a fair point. Usually, whenever a team's traveling, there's an extra off day as a
that
travel day.
That has not been the case.
Has that not been the case for like?
I don't even think it was the case for the conference finals.
It might
Unless
just be
I'm
a finals.
really
I know
missing
that's how
something.
it used to be.
But
which is
everything's
why
so condensed this year.
Yeah,
which has been a whole topic.
That's fair. Which is why, like, because I forgot that they went back to the 2-2-1-1-1. Because years ago, or I don't even think it was that long ago, it was they did 2-3-2 because it was taking so long because of the extra travel day built in. So they were just like, hey, now we don't have to travel as much. I honestly, for some reason, thought it was still 2-3-2 until this year when all of a sudden, like, I don't think I realized it until the second round of the playoffs. It was like, oh, wait, what? It's like it's 2-2-1-1-1 now?
Yeah. But again, if you're the Nuggets, if you're a Nuggets fan, you get, 2 rounds and then you're swept in 4 anyway, so it's 2-2 is all you need, really.
Yeah.
Suns in 4.
Can I want to get your ruling on this because this has become a bit of a topic. So Suns in 4 guy is now at a place, which by the way, I got to pull this up because I need to just get something for the office. He is now on eBay auctioning off various signed items. We're talking signed Steve Nash jerseys, signed basketballs, signed pictures of him holding up the 4. My general thought at this point, first of all, is I will not slander this man. He is a hero. The Suns are going to win the finals, and he should get a statue.
Yep.
But whenever you're talking about somebody with their 15 minutes, and he stretched his 15 into 20 or 25 at this point, if they win the finals in 4, he gets like an hour of fame in my book. Like I think at that point, he's the mascot of this run.
Yeah.
What do you do if you're in his shoes? How do you feel about him auctioning off his own signed merchandise?
I don't believe he should benefit from his name, image, or likeness. Okay, I think the Congress should step in here.
I think that's a great point.
No, I mean I don't want to be a hypocrite, so I applaud the college guys for doing it. Adults that are older than that can do it as well. Yeah, go get it. Get it, buddy. Because he pulled off one of the more impressive fight scenes I've seen in real life fighting. Of just beating the crap out of a dude, holding him down, talking crap to another dude. And then the guy that he's holding down starts to move a little bit, and he shuts it down with a couple more uppercuts. So I was impressed by it. So go get it, buddy.
I don't want to
capitalism.
I don't
capitalize on capitalism.
Depress this guy, and I hope he never fully realizes this. He's peaked. His life will never be better than it is.
We don't know that. Maybe he is a big venture capitalist.
I mean,
wow.
And he is about to hit some sort of.
But I feel like there's a good chance this is as good as it gets. And you know what? You make it last, and you take advantage of it as much as you possibly can.
What if he ends up? I mean, maybe he's had a kid or two, right? And he makes 10 or 20 grand from that. Is this better than him having a kid? Didn't he peak with the kids?
Most kids are fine, but like he is a Phoenix King right now.
I've already been outbid on one of these. All right, let's try 3.
How much are they?
The signed pictures are starting at like $1 and $4.44 shipping, by the way, for everything. $4.44 for shipping.
Also, respect to this man for not being like, oh, I'm gonna put his buy it now for 10 grand because people pay 10 grand for a photo. I mean, like, no, he's
gonna let us bid him up, man.
Realistic, smart man, smart move.
I think he is. Oh, hold on. Am I currently in the lead for this? I've been outbid by someone else's max bid. These don't end for a while still, so we're gonna have, I think, sometime in the next couple days, I'm gonna have to really zero in.
Thinking about getting a second mortgage on the house. Find a way to come up with some cash quick.
Yeah, a mortgage, because I have a mortgage currently. I own a house, Rudy. You've absolutely nailed it. You've got me. I
Second
think,
mortgage would be bold to get before a first mortgage.
I think sometimes you gotta be creative in the financial world. You got to find your loopholes.
Sometimes you got to jump.
Yeah, I'm gonna pull out equity that I don't have. Okay,
Yeah.
That's what we're gonna do here at the second mortgage. So I'm gonna start second mortgage, then we'll do the first.
I really only know how mortgages work based off Monopoly. Is that generally the way that it works?
Exact same.
Do you like Monopoly?
All houses are red. No, it's stupid. I mean, it's a never-ending game, and nobody ever plays it the right way with all the properties and that stuff. So, no.
I bought a version of it on Switch. It was on sale for like $5 or $10.
Of course you did.
And I've only
$5 or
played it like
$10
once.
just for Monopoly.
Yeah. Do you ever do things that
Did it
aren't
not-
just wildly random? When's the last time you did something that like conformed to modern,
Like a normal person would do?
society?
I mean, you're renting a house.
That was mostly Renee's idea.
Yeah, but you did
But
it.
just hearing you say, I once bought a Monopoly game. Where'd you buy it on?
On the Switch.
On the
So
Switch.
it's
With the Switch, yeah.
you can play against CPUs
Yeah.
or with friends. And I kind of like Monopoly whenever it's not never ending. The issue is
Yeah.
whenever you pay money, some people put that on free parking, and that is not in the rules. If you're listening right now and you're thinking, I hate Monopoly because it never ends, it's if the reason that it never ends is because you're putting money on free parking whenever you pay fines or whatever, that just goes straight back into the bank. That is the way that people go bankrupt. And so you're keeping money in the game otherwise, so it will last forever. So fix how you play Monopoly. To answer your question, Mick, in college, I took a class called Games as Learning Systems. Is that
What
that
was
normal?
it?
Games as learning systems.
Learning systems.
So it was a class taught by the like advisor for the honors program, which I was in.
big
Yeah,
time.
no, not trying to flex, but and it was not near like his first day was like, this is not this is not an easy A thing, and somebody did just straight up walk out right when that happened, which is awesome. But we like designed our own games and learned about some game theory stuff and how you can use it in teaching circumstances and everything. If we had some education majors or whatever. I was just there because I like the professor and I like games. But
What'd you get in the class? What grade?
An A. I got an. I mean,
Nice.
I
He
don't
was
have
an
to double
honors- He
check.
was an honor student. so
Yeah, I think I got not an A in 3 classes in college. College algebra,
What grade did you get from your mom in high school?
just disappointment. It was a D for disappointment. I got bad grades in college algebra, which was one of 2 math classes I took over the course of 4 years. That was a nightmare. Professor was a nightmare also. And then I got sub A's in systematic theology 1 and systematic theology 2. That class was hard.
Why? Because you got up every day and told him God doesn't exist.
I
and that's
walked
how you
in.
gotta
I
be.
walked in every day, and I was
Basically,
like, "This is all nonsense, Professor." And he was like, "Well, you know what? You came in. You were here for class, so I cannot
I can't
legally
flunk
fail
you,
you.
yes.
I cannot fail you here. You are going to get a D minus. In this case, it stands for deity. You get a deity minus because that's what you've taken away from this. And that's not very helpful." What was your best and worst collegiate classes? One that you remember most fondly, and then the one you had your worst grade in.
So I remember I took some crazy electives.
Yes.
So I liked math, and why I don't know, and why I didn't turn that into a career that actually
Yep.
paid real money. I have no idea.
I think the same thing every day because I always really liked math.
One of my electives I took in college was calculus-based physics, and like halfway through, I'm like, I don't know, I don't like math this much. I'm like, I could be taking pottery right now, and so that was the last math class I took. But I mean, at the time, I tell people like, hey, you know that phrase like it's not rocket science? I can explain rocket science to you.
Yeah, I have rocket science.
I can tell you all about rocket science. It's actually not that hard. And then they'd walk away. But then I remember I flexed hard at KU. I bowled my entire life, like competitive bowling and
This has come up
travel
before.
league. Went to state bowling every single year. We didn't have it in high school, but I bowled all through high school, travel, all that stuff. And so I went to KU and took bowling as an elective with a bunch of people who were bowling for the first time. I walked in with my own shoes and 2 balls, because because I had my strike ball and my spare ball, and just flexed all over that class. I remember the instructor was really good. I think he was on the KU team, and so I'd kind of bowl against him a lot of days, and that was fun. That was a fun class.
Okay, so walk me through strike ball versus spare ball. I did not know that was the thing.
So I liked heavier ball for strike ball. The heavier the ball, the more pin action you're going to get.
Sure.
Right? And you're not trying to knock down 10.
Need a heavy ball.
10 pins there. And then my spare ball was like a pound lighter. And would have, just a ball you have more control with. Didn't spin as much because a lot of times you want to hook it into the pocket. Right?
Is that between kind of your first pin and one of the two pins right behind it, right? Is that the pocket?
That's the pocket, right? And so that's how you get a strike. You kind of take a steep angle into the pocket. Whereas spares, a lot of times you're just going for the 5-pin, or you have the 7 or the 10-pin on the side where it's hard to hook it in and hit it just right. You want more of a straight ball, so that's what I'd throw more with my spare ball. I only have one ball now.
Well, listen, you only really need one.
I mean, so does Lance Armstrong.
Yeah, that's right.
Right.
Same. They called me the Lance Armstrong of bowling.
Of bowling, yeah.
I mean, I'd pass out PEDs
I was gonna say
on the
steroids
lanes and everything.
You were just farming all of the students to get some of their fresh blood to shoot into your exhausted body.
Yeah.
Rudy, did you have a best class, worst class?
Yeah. I think my favorite class was my last semester. I just needed some electives to fill, so I took history of video games. Class was great.
Dude, that's great.
Teacher was also really cool. Like, he would travel around like the United States, like going to like big game design, like their studios to like test games out, and like he's very well known like around the U.S. So like that was a really cool class. I think my least favorite was I had a teacher who taught like it was like not quite history of journalism, but it was like a First Amendment. But it was like a First Amendment in journalism.
Oh, and you hate the First Amendment now, so that makes sense.
But it was
very anti-First Amendment.
It was his book that we all had to buy and read, and he would just constantly berate people for how bad the papers were and for not reading his book. If it was clear that you did not read his book, he would send out like 6-paragraph emails and stuff. And you're just like, oh boy, here we go again. And the class, fortunately, was all online, so you never actually had to see the teacher. But he would send some long emails, just like, you know what, this class isn't great.
He sounds like a real treat. What a good time. What a great prof. All right, well, we got even further in the segment than I thought we were going to successfully. So it feels like a good a time as we need to take a break. We'll do that. We'll come back with more with Mick Shaffer, 41 Action News next.
Want more Almost Entirely Sports? Watch the show live on the Sports Radio 810 Facebook page. You're listening to Almost Entirely Sports.
Nonstop. Right hand, left hand, nonstop, Josh.
With Joshua Brisco.
At the time, it is the only thing I want to do.
Yeah.
The next day, I 100% regret it every time.
Yeah.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Another segment with Mick Shaffer, 41 Action News here on Almost Entirely Sports. Mick, I want you to explain to the listening audience, if you would, please, what you picked up here at the station today.
So I have what is called Scissor a pizza. Buon appetito.
Nailed it.
Italian. Yeah, totally nailed it.
You nailed it, dude.
So a couple weeks ago on the Zone, we were at a rally house. Yeah, you were there.
Because I
So
was actually
we were
there too,
doing
yeah.
Price is Right on there. And they got a bunch of items from the store, and one of them was a pizza roller. It might have been like a Royals or Chiefs pizza roller, not sure.
Like the rolling cutter thing.
Yeah. So I made a joke that, hey, that brings back memories because growing up in our household, we never had a pizza roller. And it's like, and I mean, we were like middle class. My dad's a pharmacist. We had cars.
Right.
We lived in a house.
Right.
Right?
This
It wasn't a we're
not
so
like-
poor we didn't have hot water
Yeah, it's not like
type
I said,
of
like, I mean,
situation.
it's not like saying, oh, I grew up without a swimming pool. Okay.
Right.
I grew up without a pizza roll. And so instead of that, we would use scissors to cut our pizza nonstop all the time. Scissors.
And we're talking like orange handle,
Yes,
like
the regular scissors.
not even food scissors.
Like when you're done, hey, I'm going to go do an arts and crafts project.
Right.
Yeah.
You've got to
wait.
wash off the sauce.
Hey, when you're done with the pizza, I'm wrapping Christmas presents over here.
Right.
And
Right.
so from that, I found that a lot of people grew up like me. They were denied the power of the pizza roller. And so my dad listens to the podcast a lot. So apparently my mom and him sent this pizza cutter and a note to Jason.
Awesome,
It said, Jason Anderson, we were listening to your show a while back and never knew Mick was so traumatized over having his pizza cut with scissors growing up. So we thought you could present these to him. Thanks, Lynn and Barbara Schaefer. So that was the surprise today on the Zone. And so I got these. So these are scissors designed to cut pizza.
They're longer than
They're
other
longer
scissors,
and they're
too.
kind of angled to where like regular scissors, you're going to get like hot cheese all over your knuckles as you're slicing through there. So these are designed, I guess, not to have that happen.
You've also got the little sort of sidecar thing that you can hook onto the scissors that will scoop that will support the bottom
What
of
is
the
that
pizza
for?
slice.
We don't even know what that's for.
This is underneath the pizza. So you go in and you cut, you just
Gotcha.
cut it, and then this is supporting the underside of the slice.
Yes, okay.
So you can just, that's what those little rivets there.
We thought it was like to hang it on the wall or something like that. Like, who puts their pizza scissors on a wall?
No, there's
for everybody to see.
There is definitely not a picture anywhere on here that shows how that's supposed to. But I've seen scissors like that before, where you just got kind of it's sort of a spatula that attaches to it basically.
Okay, that makes more sense than hanging your pizza cutter
than
on
mounting
the wall.
it. Yeah, no, that doesn't make
right
make
above the
as much sense.
fireplace. That's where I keep mine.
I thought this was going to be gimmicky nonsense a little bit until I realized that they're just super long scissors, and that because the issue for me, I don't currently own a pizza roller cutter either. But what I typically do is I just take.
You want those?
No, these are for you. These are from your mother. Take these, man.
I mean, we now own pizza rollers.
Well, here's the thing.
I
think
grew up
this
and
is
I was
better.
able to afford pizza rollers.
I think
multiple pizza rollers.
You're in TV. I think this is worth it though, because for me, the pizza rollers, the issue is all the cutting power is coming from the top.
Yeah.
So it's running your pepperoni or your cheese or your sauce straight down before it even cuts through the crust, and you end up with those kind of curves around the edges. I will sometimes just get the biggest chef's knife I have and cut it that way because it's a little bit better in that regard. This way, though, the scissors, you're cutting from both sides and kind of meeting in the middle. One side cuts through the crust, one side cuts through the topping. I actually think those right there, I think those are the peak of innovation. I have food scissors also. The food scissors are half as long as that.
Yeah.
That's no good either. These right here, though, these ciseaux de pizza are, I think those are your winner.
You know those are,
That's
dude.
Good stuff. There's no way I'm going to flip this over and see the phrase
That's not
"Made in
off
Vietnam."
brand.
Well,
Let's see.
and then look, you can't. I think it's all in Italian on the back.
It actually is.
See, that's not an off-brand scissor either. Like, that's the good stuff.
It does say keep the packaging as it contains useful information. I guess if you speak Italian.
That's the good stuff.
It really doesn't say where they were made on the back. But it's all in Italian. So you gotta
it's
think,
just like,
right?
hey, we just, it's from Italy because it's all in Italian. You know this is legit.
On the back there is a page. You want to make sauce tomate. There's ingredients, which is spelled almost the same way. Ingredientes.
I think you have
and
to use these this
preparation.
weekend.
Yeah,
But
make some pizza.
Yeah.
Are you
Make
using
some
that
pizza
for?
and try 'em out.
Are you
You
cutting
can have it.
frozen
And then-
pizzas, or are you making pizza from like scratch?
Oh, I don't make pizza from scratch.
That's what I thought. Well, but you have ingredientes on the back now that you can.
Okay.
That you can use. Yeah, I don't. And I'm not gonna take those. Next time your mom sends me a care package, she knows. I'll just be like, hey, could you throw in some of those scissors again for me?
Next time your mom sends me a care package, I will not mention it on the radio.
Do we need to take another break so we have at least one segment that is a full, like a good 10 minutes in here, Rudy? Or you want to just stretch this? You tell me what we want to do here. I don't know what. You know what? Here's one thing. I wanted to mention this again this hour. Are you a pickleball guy?
I played pickleball. Yeah, well,
I
have. Are you in that deal?
I don't know. We're doing a show from out there, and
Maybe doing a show. I guess it just depending on. Well, I don't know what the final schedule is, but I can theory. I guess
it will be the day, the first day of our. It's a kind of a 2-day tournament.
Yeah, Wednesday,
first
Thursday.
day is game 4. The second day, when we are planning on
You're gonna
having a
be-
show out
you're
there
gonna be off.
anyway,
Gotcha.
we should still have a show.
Because I never looked at this. So that was my thing. I didn't know what the final schedule was. I figured there was a good chance there'd be a game Wednesday or Thursday, not knowing which one it was. But yes,
I added the entire finals to my trusty Google Calendar because I cannot be double booking myself.
Yeah.
So
see, this is why you just need to go to the Phoenix Suns. You subscribe to their calendar.
I don't need.
Now you know when all the
when their
Suns
14th game of the year is. Though I need to know when game 4 of the finals are.
Yeah, but it'll do all that for you.
But if you've not already signed up for this, or if you're interested in what we're talking about right now, Sports Radio 810 and Chicken and Pickle are presenting the first ever Kansas City Pickleball Championship on July 14th and 15th. 14th will be a Suns game. 15th, we're planning on doing a show from out there. Registration for that closes Monday at 5, but you can still register if you'd like. 810WHB.com. There are 3 divisions: beginner, intermediate, and expert. Plus, there's the Celebrity Exhibition Tournament and Party. That is on the 15th. And
Thursday.
And I'm going to try to figure out. I love pickleball. This is sort of my grandparents'
thing.
It's my thing, dude. My grandparents, because the reason I'm a Suns fan is the same reason that I'm a pickleball enthusiast. My grandparents moved to Arizona. Pickleball bursts out of like retirement communities. It is the sport for old people who have retired but want to stay active.
Yeah.
Because it feels like me, basically me. I'm on the same physical level as them. It is the action of tennis with basically the physical exertion of like a really heavy game of ping pong, you know? Like that's the perfect line that it draws. I love it. So I don't know if I'm going to be able to actually be on a team in that day because we're having a show, but at some point we're just going to get a good Rudy segment. Rudy's going to host it, and I'm going to grab a paddle. That's my plan right now. Are you good at pickleball? I think you'd be good at pickleball.
I have no idea if I'm good at pickleball. I mean, whatever.
You're an athlete, Mick.
I'm an athlete.
You're an athlete.
Figure
dude.
it out. Yeah, no, it looks fun. Who are you playing with again?
I don't know yet.
You don't know. Okay.
I don't know. Nate volunteered to play with me. I told him to play with Lebo. I will literally play pickleball with anyone. I will play solos. Sometimes my dad and I would just play solos, and it's still great. So I will play against anyone, with anyone, by myself. Me versus a wall, whatever.
Nice.
I'll stay after everyone else
play
leaves.
pickle wall?
I'll play pickle wall for sure. If you want to play pickle wall or actually pickleball, you can register your team now. $150 a team, only 32 teams available in each division. 810WHB.com/KC Pickleball if you want to sign up. There we go. A little flawless, a little read in. Now we know that Mick is not that confident in his pickleball abilities. I think you're going to be good. I feel like you've got pickleball pretty well handled. Let's take a break. We'll wrap it up whenever we come back here with Mick Shaffer next here on Almost Entirely Sports Radio 810, Pickleball Champions of the World. I don't know. What's the show called?
At JB Briscoe, at Beards McFly, at Not That Rudy, at Sports Radio 810. Just do it already. This is Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco.
No, I get it, guys. Yeah, I got a long, stupid, sometimes fat face with a dumb nose. Yeah, I get it.
On Sports Radio 810 WHB.
Last segment of the show, last segment of the week. Mick Shaffer, 41 Action News, in here with us. We never really got into what your 4th of July ended up entailing. We talked about it so much last week ahead of it. How was your long weekend?
Feel like it's more like a 2nd through 5th of July.
Yeah, it really
was.
was.
It was fun, like Friday through Monday. I had to work Sunday and Monday because I'm a superstar.
Right.
And so yeah, like each day was pretty much the same though. A lot of golf, a lot of blowing stuff up.
A lot of blow.
Not that.
Okay.
No, none of
right.
that.
All right. Sometimes I forget you're a real adult with a real job that can't just say that you did a bunch of blow on the radio.
Yeah.
Or
do it in general. So
yeah. But I feel like you wouldn't have felt the need to clarify that it was a joke if we weren't
Right.
on the radio.
It's true, yes.
But we're on
Yeah.
the radio. So just hold on really quick. If I could just get Rudy, can you just hit the button in front of you? 7 buttons over, 4 buttons down. You're gonna be shocked. Would you just hit that button for me?
Mick Shaffer does not do blow.
That was in the system. We had that pre-recorded.
Strange.
Hit it again.
Mick Shaffer does not do blow. Mick Shaffer does not do blow. Mick Shaffer does not do blow.
What other things do I not do? Do you have in the system?
Let's see.
Go ahead, hit. Just go 1 to the left, Rudy.
One to the left?
Yeah.
Mick Shaffer does huge piles of blow.
Whoa!
Wrong
Hey,
button.
we deleted that one.
Yeah, on the off chance that somebody's actually listening to this, I'd rather not have it out there that I don't do that.
Yeah, I mean, listen, if your parents are going to the trouble of finding the Zone podcast, they're probably finding this one, right?
You have a reputation to uphold.
Yeah.
That's right. Yeah,
I know about that.
We've been joking about doing cocaine on this show for like 5 straight years now.
Pretty much.
And
well, you're obviously fond of the training camp heroin.
What?
Remember? You,
No.
You did this. This is years ago.
It sounds like an old poll.
When Patrick Mahomes is before his first year as a starter, just
Oh.
like inject that training camp heroin right into my arm.
Yeah.
We have a liner.
I
of you
believe
saying
that actually. I would like to clarify that is very, 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 very different from St. Joe heroin, which you should not do under any circumstances ever. You excited to go back to training camp? We did talk about that.
I mean, yes, can't wait. It's going to be a colossal pain in the ass for media covering, but sure, yeah.
I appreciate you being honest about it because everybody else is lying.
Oh yeah, they're all lying. First of all, I've never been a fan of I liked it in River Falls because you just went there and you were there. You had to stay there.
I would have liked to have done that once.
If they do it here, you live here. It's where it is. St. Joe.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, I get to travel 2 hours.
Yeah.
Hour there, hour back.
Yeah.
So no, I don't like that.
Yeah. That is the worst
day.
of both worlds. Yeah.
It won't be me every single day, but I'll
You'll make that
it
trip
and,
enough times. Though.
Yeah, no, it's the tier 3s and the tier 2s and who can go where and who's wearing what wristband and where you have to wear masks, where you don't have to. Oh boy. Yeah. July 23rd. I wake up in night sweats for July 23rd because that not only is the start of Chiefs training camp, it is also the start of the Olympics, which are also on NBC. Home of the Olympics and home of the Chiefs.
Oh, talk to me.
Rough few weeks.
You got 1 minute to tell me how you're feeling right now about those. Because would it make your job easier if Olympic events started just sort of disappearing? Would that be terrible news for the station?
What do you mean disappearing?
Well, getting canceled is sort of my fear because there's no
Japan
fans
just
now.
Went into a state of emergency.
State of emergency in Tokyo.
Yeah, we want. I mean, it makes us a lot of money.
That's what I would think.
Yeah,
that's probably great for you guys.
So I hope it happens.
Yeah.
So
hope it happens. And
it's
then you have
double
the Olympics
nerves.
in the Winter Olympics are in February.
Whew.
2022. We're there.
Oh wow!
They're close this year, right? Because we waited a year
I
for.
say because normally it's essentially
20 and
every
22.
2 years,
It's
but yeah.
I didn't
Even number years at NBC stations are good years.
Yeah.
Because of the Olympics and because of elections.
Interesting.
Oh,
They're good years.
okay.
Yeah.
Where are the 22 Olympics? Are those
if
in America?
It's Summer Olympics, that means it's a presidential election. So those are big years. 2020, 2024.
Wow, yeah, you're right. We got to change one of those. Either start doing elections on odd years or the Olympics on odd years, just to get NBC's books to balance. Where are the 22 Olympics? Are those in America somewhere? Are those like?
This is absolutely something I should know. And let me pause.
You got hold on. Yeah, you're thinking about it. You know where it is. You know where it is. And you're gonna tell us where it is because it's in Beijing. You knew that. You knew that. Are we? Is it 24 or 26 that they're in like LA or something? Or am I just absolutely? I was gonna say smoking crack, but no, I'm not because there's no cocaine anywhere around this show. Stop asking.
2026 is.
I got
Milan.
Paris in 24, Milan in 26. Is it LA in like 28? I think LA is 28.
Okay, 28. Okay. I knew it was coming up. I knew that we were a couple Olympics away, but that was coming up.
All right. Well, the show's over now, which is probably for the best. But let's keep in mind that we can always talk about the Olympics with Mick later in this month because I currently have absolutely the only thing that I know about the Olympics at this point is that if you smoke weed anywhere near the ring logo, you're immediately turned to a puff of smoke.
Not true.
And
That's just,
eliminated from this
earth. Track and
earth.
field has different rules than other sports.
Oh, is that true?
It's a track and field rule.
Interesting. But through like that whole storyline we talked about for like a day, and I don't know anybody else in the Olympics. I'm not really tuned into anybody right now.
I do.
Just say some names.
How about this?
Basketball's good.
Casey Lightfoot.
Basketball's
Casey
good.
Lightfoot, Chris Nielsen. 2 of the 3 pole vaulters we are sending to the Olympics, to Tokyo, are from Kansas City.
There we go.
One's from Park Hill, one's from Lee Summit.
Pole vaulting capital of the world.
It is, at least of the United States.
Nope, we're going to prove it.
Honestly,
we're
the
going to
best
prove it.
overall pole vaulting group. Now, there's some singular guys out there that could win it, but as a group, Americans are pretty great. So there you go. Those are 2 names right there.
Pole vaulting is insane. Think about what a weird sport that is.
Think about how do you get good at that? Like, if I'm bad at basketball, I just miss a shot.
Yeah, if you're bad at pole vaulting,
die.
You're just dead.
You die.
All right. Well, on that note, we got to go. Thank you, Mick, for being here again to close out this week with us. And it's always a pleasure. Follow him on Twitter at Mick Shaffer. Go watch NBC because it's an odd year. Right now they need it. Except for they have the Olympics, so this year will be a little
NBC, home of
a good odd year.
NBC, home of everything, including Mick Shaffer, which is the most important part. All right, bye, Mick's mom.
You are listening to Almost Entirely Sports with Joshua Brisco on Sports Radio.